Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody. This is a sort of, well, we've got a working title. This is sort of a tentative plan that Uzalu and I have been talking about doing for a while now, which is, this is my new channel, obviously Science Sibyl. I made a video about this on my main channel a couple weeks ago now, where I did say, like, last year, anything that I released on Aiden Paladin that was not explicitly political. And the unfortunate thing is some of those videos were political anyway, but they didn't like have Trump's face or Charlie Kirk's face on it or something like that in the thumbnail. And it might not have been super obvious that they were political. Just did not do well on my channel. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Partially it's because my channel is quite old now. It's got a lot of inactive subs. And the people who are subscribed probably know it as a political channel. I think that's a big contributing factor in it. But personally, I have been for the last couple of years doing a lot of work and researching stuff that is not political or is tertiarily or secondarily political. And that kind of stuff I still want to be able to make videos on. Stuff that I think is really interesting and cool. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about today, it will be the next video that will be uploaded on this channel. The first one I uploaded here was about the kind of reality and statistics behind astrology, or what, you know, people would call like, oh, you're such a Scorpio or whatever, you're such a Gemini. And if there has any validity to that there are personality differences based on birth month, and there's actually quite a lot. For example, I talked about this before, but being born in March is really bad if you, it's not good if you don't want to have schizophrenia, for example. And there's a lot of stuff like that. It has to do with gestational timing. So I thought another thing that we would do is, and we have to still talk about all this, but we might as well do it in public or whatever as well, is do semi-regular streams with Uzalu and myself, talking about more science and tech stuff. Uzalu is more of the expert on the tech stuff. I'm a bit of a Luddite, so when it comes to tech. But, well, science and technology is a category on YouTube for a reason. They often get lumped together. And a lot of times there'll be crossovers. Like today I've got an article that is interesting that relates to AI, and specifically about how researchers are p-hacking using AI, which is a very bad thing to do. You should not be p-hacking in general, but you can kind of accidentally p-hack with AI assistance in writing papers, which is a potential problem. And I wanted to talk about the next subject I'm going to do a video on a little bit, which is going to be on spatial cognition, otherwise known as mental rotation. Mental rotation is a type of spatial cognition. It's not the only one. And that's because a couple months ago, I saw on Twitter, the women were getting really upset at the water level task again. And I say again because women have been getting upset about this since the 1950s. All it is, and I'll go over it in more detail, is that, you know how, like, I have a glass of Sprite here, and it's quite full, but if I tilted it to its side, the water level would remain parallel with the ground. About 30% of women can't figure that out. They can't figure it out even after repeatedly being told about the water level principle. They can't figure it out even with experience of seeing a glass tilting on its side. There is something about the female brain that is just not as adept at this very specific type of spatial reasoning. It's not the only type of spatial reasoning that women have deficits in relative to men. There's really not any that men have a deficit in. Spatial reasoning, it makes sense why men would be evolved and adapted towards spatial reasoning in the way that women are not. And that's because you have to do things like hunt and find your way back from the hunt, like all these things that, you know, would have occurred in ancient history that didn't have the same utility to women that they did for men. Like, you have to be able to throw a spear and things like that. So, in order to, talk about more sciencey and technology things, and politics will probably inevitably come into it at some point, because it's difficult not to, I am joined by Uzalu. Hello.
Greetings. I'm also the one hosting the stream. Apologies if there are already tech issues. Not that there ever would be. So yes, a lot of what Aiden says and believes is correct and true. But on the other occasions, I may be able to be of some assistance.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to call me out specific. Well, here's the other thing: is that this will be the vibe. It's just a bit of bickering, as it usually is.
We do bicker a lot, yes. We're probably going to try to avoid any of our classic arguments, though, that we're already sick to death of.
The monarchy question will not be discussed. No. Oh yeah, I forgot my name is Aiden Peregrine in Cabal, so that's what my name shows up as.
Yeah.
Bird, whatever. Bird, like I've come to that. Just I have to accept that I'm going to get called a bird all the time, and it's inevitable. So might as well embrace. If you cannot defeat being bird, then embrace being bird, or something like that.
You've gone with Aiden Peregrine rather than Avian Peregrine, which
it was Avian Peregrine.
Yeah,
I don't know when
you changed it to this. You apparently wanted it to be this.
I don't know when I did that. I actually don't know why I didn't change Peregrine, but did change Avian. Gay man and bee woman. Yeah, that's accurate.
Excuse me? You take that back.
Which part? Being the bee woman?
Not the bee woman. I mean, that's inevitable. If anyone's wondering, I think this came up on your last stream. I certainly was not the first person to introduce Aiden to her a comical over-exaggeration reaction to bees, but I was the most recent to popularize it, and now all I have to do is post or mention something yellow or a popular letter of the English alphabet.
Literally just posting yellow emojis at me in Discord, and it legit made me laugh today.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
We had a little call earlier between myself, Spoon, Scrump, and some other people. And I was just checking my DMs to see if you were awake, essentially, and I just saw the fucking bee thing again, and it made me laugh then. Just looking at it from the past made me laugh at it, because I was thinking about bees.
Of course you were thinking about bees. You're always thinking about bees.
Because they're funny.
Are they?
Yeah, bees are the funniest animal, in my opinion. I mean, I do have an animal story, though, because people have been talking about it.
And it isn't about bees.
No, it's about chimps.
Some would say the bees of the primate world, but not many.
I mean, I don't know. Who says that?
No one. Well, some, I assume. Some, I assume.
Some, you assume, would say that chimps are the bees of the... I don't even know. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, look, if I'm going to say ridiculous things like that, at least you know that as a change for an Aiden stream, I am not asleep.
That's true. It is a totally new experience to not have to worry about you as my co-host falling asleep.
I usually stream where I'm the host, so I'm actually quite used to staying awake for the entire stream.
Yeah, well, you usually stream by yourself, so right, if you fell asleep, that'd be pretty devastating, catastrophic.
I mean, it almost happened a couple times.
I mean, Ethan Ralph's certainly fallen asleep on stream enough times. I've seen that happen. I have seen it happen.
I have heard of that person.
I don't know. I couldn't fall asleep on a stream. Well, no, that's not true. I've fallen asleep on someone else's stream, not a stream I'm running though. I took very famously an e-nap on EFAP. But they were going for like 11 hours or something though, in my defense.
Well, yes, if any of you think Aiden is falling asleep, let me know, and I'll post something in particular that will keep her awake, or say something in particular that will keep her awake. Like there are options here. In fact, let's see if this works.
What are you trying to do?
I'm not sure if this will work. No, it doesn't line up properly.
There was someone.
However, I can just do that.
Yeah, that's the sequence of emojis that made me laugh earlier.
Yeah, it looks like the line spaces don't work properly on the YouTube chat, but they do in Discord.
It wasn't even like a picture of a bee that made me laugh. It was the facsimile of a bee.
Yeah, well, specifically of the zoomed-in nose of a cartoon bee.
Yeah, yeah. What could it be? Anywho, so let's do the even though it's the thumbnail. because the spatial cognition stuff, I'm going to just read through part of my script, and then I'm also going to bring up the studies and talk about it. But I thought beforehand we talk about some other scientific-y topics of interest that we've found of late. So
that one of those academic words that you often use, scientific-y.
Scientific-y, yes, it's a very academic word. Oh, also, I did mention this in the chat, but I should also say the tentative title of this stream, podcast, whatever the hell you want to call it, is just right now Wizard and Sibyl, but that's a real working title, so we might, I mean, I am not attached to that. I'll just go in and change it after the fact, you know. If anyone has any kind of suggestions, Uzalu and I were workshopping some ideas earlier, but
we did consider some, but we didn't come up with any which kind of nailed it. We didn't take long to think about it, but
no,
we were thinking of doing
Towers sort of
doing something with Faulty Towers, because we realized a little while ago that Sibyl, Aiden's new channel's name, is also a character in Faulty Towers, and that Basil is a tall Englishman, and I am known for being that.
Yeah.
Beard and bees. Well, the thing is, Wolf, there's also a bird.
There's too many bees. Get it?
Listen, we can't name it after the bees, because surely Aiden's addiction to bees is not going to last long.
I've loved bees for years.
Well,
I've always found bees hilarious.
The birds and the bees it is.
Oh, no.
Justin Boggin in chat suggests Englishman and Becky.
Sorry if it now feel like you crashed on Twitter lately. I haven't watched your other video. I'm hoping this is good. This is just a live stream. But I will, one of the topics I'll be crashing on Twitter. I mean, I always do that. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the subject that'll be the next video on this channel as well, which again is sex differences in spatial cognition, which is interesting stuff because it is so incredibly consistent. Every attempt, because it makes the women folk mad. I don't actually understand why it makes women upset. I think it's just like, sorry, I said I wouldn't get political. It's like a fundamental like lie of liberalism, though, is that like, no, women and men are the same in every single way. And, we've got what 5 minutes before it's like the problem.
No, it's because the whole point of women is
what's the point?
That
what is
they
the
are
point of women?
That they are flawless targets. For men to aim towards. And that if a man complains or criticizes or even discovers truthfully that there's a flaw with women, that's not the point, mate. You're not supposed to detect flaws with women. You're supposed to aim towards them. You're supposed to appeal to them. And that, by the way, is not actually wrong or bad necessarily. It's what evolution decided, and there's reasons for it. But if you're a man and you've noticed a problem with a woman, be careful saying it, because that's not the point of men and women. That's not what you're supposed to do to women. I kind of wish it were different, and some women are different, but generally speaking, they are considered flawless targets, which is why all female self-help books say you deserve, and all male self-help books say you need to.
Yes. Yeah, here's the things you have to do, or be, or whatever. And then for women, it's just like, you go, girl. Like, you're perfect the way you are. And it's just a basic difference between the sexes is the spatial cognition stuff. And again, it makes sense why we co-evolved in this particular way. But for some reason, it tends, because women get told that their whole lives, essentially. That's all their self-help books are like that. So it's more, instead of, I was, speaking of that, I crashed up on Twitter. I got people real angry at me for talking about this in particular, which is bizarre to me as to just why do women get so upset about the shape rotation and the water level task stuff. It's nothing to be ashamed about, not really. I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's kind of funny that women can't figure out that if you tilt a glass, the water doesn't tilt with it. It stays parallel to the ground. So, I don't know, but it seems to be
actually it sloshes. And then it converges towards parallel with the ground.
Sure. Yes. Now, there you go. Which is kind of the question about the water level task is, are women just misunderstanding the question? Not. They've done the research on that. They've made it extremely clear that the question is explained. They've done it with drawings of glasses. They've done it with a physical glass. They've done it with a glass bottle or a bottle sitting inside of a rotatable sphere so that you can look at it from any angle in 360 degrees, women still fuck up this task.
Is it possible that people on Twitter were annoyed at you not because of the facts you were relaying, but because of the way you were relaying it and what you appeared to be saying? You do have a tendency of being misunderstood sometimes, Aiden.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it was that. However, there was a discourse going on Twitter at the time, and the cope from the women camp is, I would also think that that's not the correct answer, being parallel to the ground, because I would have thought it's like a sticker, like the whole image of the glass is a fixed image that you rotate like it's printed out on a piece of paper and you were rotating the whole piece of paper with it. Which also didn't make any sense, because if you look at the answers that women give to these questions, their lines are all over the place in what they predict as to where the water level will be. So that's a lot of it is people's ignorance of the scientific literature on this, because it seems insane. It is such a consistent finding, and it seems there's no way that's real. There is no way that like a third of women cannot figure out what happens if you rotate a glass with liquid in it. But alas, that's the truth. Oh well. You could say there was a bit of a chimp out when I talked about it on Twitter, which is a nice segue into the first topic I had for this evening.
All right, raising the IQ floor a bit onto our next story. But no.
This is vaguely scientific, but it's so funny. We were talking about bees, and I want to talk about chimps. I don't normally expect to talk too much about animals, but there's a chimp civil war going on in Uganda right now. Apparently, a chimpanzee community in Uganda's Kabale National Park. Oh, do you have this up, by the way?
I do.
My screen? Cool. That split into rival factions later attacked former allies in what researchers are describing as a rare chimpanzee civil war. The new study published in Journal of Science draws on nearly 3 decades of observations at the Ngogo Chimpanzees Research Site led by primatologist Aaron Sandel, University of Texas.
How did they avoid calling it a chimp out for the entire article?
I mean, I don't know how. It took some real temerity to describe the chimp war without describing it as a chimp out, because that is what it is. Before the split, the Ngogo community was unusually large, with roughly 150 to 200 chimpanzees. That is a lot, and I know that from playing Planet Zoo, making it one of the largest chimp groups
that's
ever
where she gets
recorded in the
most of her
wild.
scientific knowledge, by the way, chat. Video
Planet
games.
Zoo. Yes, quite famously, right? I do have this kind of disgusting number of hours in Planet Zoo. I really like city builders and management games, so as a proper autist,
have you in chat ever considered Aiden might have autism?
No, never. Never.
That's true, yeah, they're having a Sibyl war.
Right.
Sibyl?
Yeah, well, I'm just anticipating it now. After the rupture, the community divided into 2 factions. Let me zoom in a little bit. Which researchers call the central and western groups, named after areas of the forest they occupied.
That didn't need to be explained.
No, come on, thank you, Manga Bay, whatever. Between 2018 and 2024, the western group carried out 24 attacks on the central group, killing at least 7 adult males and 17 infants. Sandel told Manga Bay that the conflict is still unfolding and may have lasting consequences for the population. The central group is at risk. They've had a dramatic increase in mortality. The key question is, how are they going to fight back? And of course, they can't really do anything about this because they're just there to observe. So, I guess the scientists just have to sit around and watch the chimps kill 17 infants.
A true real-life examination of the Prime Directive in action.
Right? I mean, they can't do anything about it if they interfere with it. Yeah. It is a violation of the Prime Directive, and it also could, who knows, you'll shift the tides of the chimp war. Unlike most primate group fissions, the Ngogo split involved coordinated killing of long-term affiliates. So they're literally killing their friends, I guess. Sandel and colleagues wrote, killing rates also exceeded estimates for intergroup aggression in chimps. Researchers estimate that the central chimps died at the equivalent rate of about 3,376 per 100,000 individuals per year, more than 30 times the median rate of about 100 per 100,000 reported on other chimp populations. So it's not just any chimp out. This is a chimp out of exceptional proportion in terms of the number of chimps being killed.
There are different numbers, obviously, because there's a gradient given for this, but if we say that anatomically modern humans are about 200,000 years old, about 90 to 95% of that time was basically just this. It was just constant, relatively small scale by today's standards, but mass scale by their standards, wars between tribes where usually everyone on one side, all the males on the losing side get killed and all the women get taken.
Well, that's what they're going to get to next is why are the chimps fighting? Researchers say the conflict may offer rare insight into how violence can emerge within tightly bonded animal societies. The study suggests that shifts in relationships within a social network may be enough to fracture a once cohesive community, an idea explored in detail in the researchers' analysis of the Ngogo split. You
know, something I've been disappointed with watching Stargate for the first time. We watched a bit more last night.
How could you possibly be disappointed in watching Stargate?
It's pretty good. Right, but there's one thing it does, which it was very common for the time, and I'm not criticizing it specifically for that, but where they sort of make the assumption that peace in the current situation is always preferable to any other situation. Where if two sides want to go to war, then just stopping the war is the ultimate good, which in many ways it is, and I can understand why they went that way. It certainly reduces the number of
loss of life,
deaths.
Sure.
In the short to medium term, it definitely is better, but long term. One of my point here is entropy dictates essentially via evolution, any successful species is going to be one where if there's too much cooperation, that's bad for business. You need to have some wars to do some radical selection. In my humble opinion, the universe, through evolution, interpreted through entropy, abhors stagnation more than it abhors corruption. And will use corruption or malice or violence to break stagnation.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of inevitable. Chaos. The universe often moves towards chaos of some sort.
Order and chaos are relatively poorly defined, though. They don't always match intuitive interpretations. But yes, you're correct.
Well, there's chaos in the chimp community.
There sure
Signs
is.
of the division first appeared around 2015 when the Ngogo chimps began forming two increasingly distinct social clusters. Researchers detected the shift using long-term observations, demographic records, and changes in social networks based on which chimps spent time together or groomed each other. Grooming is a key indicator of social bonds. Over time, interactions with each cluster increased while interactions between them declined. So yeah, just like a lack of interaction with each other, normal chimp behavior. Which chimps are violent as fuck. Like I'm reminded of that Joe Rogan clip. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's
Probably
describing.
Not.
Oh my god.
Oh, I might do.
He's describing just like how terrifying chimps are, and he's screaming and being like whoa, whoa, in his mimicry of the chimps. It's very funny.
Chimps have much denser muscles than humans, I think. So even if they don't look that much stronger, they are much stronger. You be very careful with them.
Why the change to Peregrine? It's on Discord. I've not changed my name to that. I've changed my name on Discord in Cabal specifically because I get called a bird all the time by this person that I'm speaking to right now.
And I've met you in person. I know you're a bird. What was it I said? Lesser preening, spindly, North American utter tit.
Yeah, you called me a spindly. I thought it was a North American lesser tit. Yeah, is that it?
I think we settled on utter tit in the end.
Utter tit. Okay.
Yeah. Rambam, I have no idea who Michael Moorcock is, but you can usually guarantee that I'm not channeling anyone.
That's the author of Elric, isn't it? Michael Moorcock? Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah. That's the author of Elric.
Elric? From the fucking alchemy anime?
No, not Edward Elric. No, Elric of Menibene, Robert, that's pronounced, which is a fantasy novel series that I don't know, I can't think of his name. The author of The Witcher totally ripped off. Like,
really?
absolutely. Oh yeah, like unabashedly, shamelessly. That's Andrzej Sapkowski. Sapkowski was a editor for a Polish language fantasy and sci-fi magazine who read, I believe, like, or maybe helped translate as well, the like first edition of those stories into Polish. And then very shortly thereafter, he starts writing about Geralt of Rivia. So yeah, who looks the same in terms of they both got white hair and pale skin and stuff, you know. It's the difference being that Elric's got a cursed sword. I mean, there are differences between the stories, obviously, and the characters.
The big metal brother.
But it's yeah, that's a different Elric.
That was a good show, though. I watched it for the first time a couple of years ago.
I love that show. I love and the manga. I've always loved Full Metal Alchemist.
No, it's no fairy tale, but it's pretty good.
Was
that you all those years ago?
Yes.
You left because I bullied you too hard. Surprisingly culturally illiterate. I consider cultural literacy to be a bit of a trap. The more of other people's stuff you read and take in, the more it's going to shape how you think, whether you like it or not. And I've generally, not really intentionally, but I've taken a path of trying to do that less than the average and trying to come up with the stuff myself from first principles instead.
You bullied him, he's going to bully you back.
Well, he never had the ability to do that. He's doing it right now. He always just complained. No, he's testing the waters to see if he can, to see if he's grown enough. But he hasn't. I don't think he ever will.
Oh my God. Let's see. By 2017, the Western and Central groups were using largely separate parts of the forest, turning the center of their former shared territory into a border. Reproduction between members of the groups ceased. The last cross-group baby was conceived in March of 2015, and since then, all offspring with known parentage were conceived within the same group. By 2018, researchers concluded the communities had undergone a permanent fission, splitting into two groups that no longer maintain social ties. And now they, look, there's no way I can talk about a chimp out without watching it, right? Some of it. I can deal without the
1 second, I can turn on the sound.
Oh, yeah, that would help.
Aiden, you put on the wrong video. This is just Portland.
This is Detroit. Detroit become chimp.
The researchers are pretty bloody close, aren't they?
Yeah.
They have like big light blue press hats on to make sure the chimps don't attack them.
Right?
They probably
they're
aren't.
actually there. I would hope. I would not walk into a group of violent, aggressive chimps. I wouldn't walk into anywhere near a group of chimps anyway. But like, because they are very aggressive animals. But I certainly, certainly would not do so while they're in the middle of a civil war. Researchers documented territorial patrols. Starting in 2016, mostly by the Western chimps, the patrols became more frequent in the following years. Many preceded deadly attacks on Central Group after the permanent split in 2018. What surprised researchers most was the relationship between the attackers and the victims. Chimpanzees that lived, fed, groomed, and patrolled together for years became targets of lethal attacks on the basis of their new group membership. Oh, it really is all the same shit, isn't it? I mean, that's just, that's how it works in human groups, too. Traitor is the lowest ring of hell, right?
Always kill a traitor before an enemy, Jimmy.
Indeed. I mean, or so it seems the chimps agree. Because chimpanzees are listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List, the loss of even a few individuals can have significant impact on their future. I mean, so I don't know, should they step in then if it is this potentially, deadly to the vulnerable chimp population? I don't know what the researchers are supposed to do. Can't like move them or anything.
Well, why are they endangered? Because if this is maybe a broader question, but if they're similar to humans, which compared to the rest of the animal kingdom they are, then how are they doing so poorly evolutionarily? Have we been hunting them? Or should I say, have some uncivilized band of humans been hunting them?
I was going to go Google why are chimps endangered. However, I want to instead tell you what the first results that Google suggests for why are chimps. Why are chimps so violent? Why are chimps so strong? Why are chimps butts like that?
Fair question. Should we just make that the stream topic instead?
Why are chimps butts like that? It's also butt spelled with one T, though.
Okay. Well, I guess the majority of people who want to know can't spell.
Yeah, well, I think if you're Googling why are chimps butts like that, you probably, can't spell the word
Google
butt.
is probably just erasing the ones with butt with two T's because you don't want to show that kind of language to the children.
You wouldn't want them to see the word butt. It's probably mostly children actually Googling that, to be fair. So never mind that. I think we answered the question. One way or another, it's either to spare the children from seeing such a filthy word, or because it's literally children and Joe Rogan who are Googling that. And
apparently also you.
Well, I didn't actually Google it. I was looking for why are chimps endangered, and it's what I thought. It's habitat loss. Habitat loss, poaching for the bushmeat trade. Kill them for bushmeat and high susceptibility to human diseases. You know what? Really easy, good way to get a prion disease.
Hey, Chinese, start eating chimp brains. It's a great cure-all.
Yeah.
I mean, they deliberately did not tell the world about the release of COVID when they could have done, so that we'd all suffer together. Let's have a bit of biological warfare against them as well. Start advertising chimp brain as a cure-all over there.
They already eat all kinds of weird.
Whoops, I think it got a bit political again.
Dude, the next one is a bit political, but it's related to the. I feel.
Are we going to go through all of yours and then all of mine, or are we going to alternate a bit?
No, we can alternate. I was just going to do let's possible causes for the split. Both the study authors and outside experts point to again possible social and ecological factors. It seems. Sandel and colleagues wrote that their observations support what they call the relational dynamics hypothesis, a theory suggesting that shifts in relationships within a social network can reshape group identities and eventually produce collective violence. Again, it's just, thank you. That's all my research. That's social science right there. The authors wrote, social networks can divide and new group boundaries can emerge, leading to collective violence. A guy who's not involved with the study said, shifting social relations are clearly important here, but what makes me wonder what might have caused these social relations to shift. Yeah, I mean, that is what was the impetus? What was the first, I don't know. What was the first stone thrown in the chimp civil war that led to this? To them fighting with each other for 20 years. Ecological pressures might have played a role, including competition over territory or areas with abundant food. Differences in males' ages or patterns of kinship within the new groups can also influence how alliances form and conflicts unfold. He said, Wilson also questioned whether the conflict should be described as a civil war. In his view, the events more closely resemble a group fission followed by fighting. What's the difference, Dr. Wilson? This is just more words to describe this. I mean, am I wrong?
Usually. What?
Well, rather than a war within a society with at least one side attempting to remain united. I'm questioning. He's trying to split hairs on calling it a civil war rather than a group fission followed by fighting.
Could you zoom in just a little bit so that the text sort of that's great. Thank you. That's silly. No, a civil war, a group fission followed by fighting. That is just a way of saying civil war.
That's what I was saying. Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing. Sorry, I was trying to fix something with the tech. I wasn't asleep. The one thing I would say about civil war is it implies that it's civil in that sense. That it's agreed upon. Well, that's not what it really means.
That's not what civil war means.
But they don't. It can also imply civilization, as in a big organized group of people or things, and they're not really civilized in that sense. But that's the only thing I could see for him saying it's not a civil war. No, it's a civil war, man. It's a big one. It's a world civil war for them.
Yeah, I mean, it is their whole world essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially, they don't seem to know. This is a major hypothesis. My initial hunch. The chimps weren't limited in food, but we have teams of Ugandan and international researchers working on these questions now. I think it'll be very difficult to confirm the causes, but by combining long-term data and new statistical methods, I think we might be able to uncover a lot. Well, I think I might know. You said it was over a woman. And speaking of Uganda, this is not scientific, but it's related to Uganda, so I wanted to read it. Well, it should be studied, I think. Ugandan army chief who once wanted to marry Italian PM Maloney and now wants Turkey to give him $1 billion or billion and something, and their quote most beautiful woman, Turkey.
This guy strikes me as Ugandan military general Jeremy Clarkson.
Which aspect? Like, you mean visually, or do you
Not
mean in
the
his
appearance, although he doesn't talk. I mean more the attitude, and I kind of approve. We shall watch your career with great interest.
With great interest. This is Muhuzi Kainu Rutabaga, whatever, has triggered a diplomatic storm after demanding $1 billion from Turkey, along with what he called the most beautiful woman in the country.
Which is a low bar, given where he's asking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, of all the countries, warning that failure to comply could lead to a complete breakdown of relations. Imagine just like, you're Turkey, you're a nuclear power, you're a member of NATO, and this Ugandan army chief is just like, look, I'm going to need $1 billion and your most beautiful woman, or else things are going to get very bad for you.
Well, why haven't you given him them yet?
I mean, it's a serious threat, isn't it?
I disagree, Eric. It's not incredibly cringe. I can kind of see why you think it is, but it's one of those things that's on the knife edge where he's risked it being cringe, but it's just leant over into based. Maybe. I think either way, it's daring. It's courageous. It shows character.
Is this
but it
courageous?
might be cringe. I'm not sure.
I don't want conflict with Turkey. They have no chance of surviving us. I remind you, Turkey has nukes. They are on loan from the US, but Turkey has nuclear weapons. They are a NATO country.
But have you read the
Uganda.
next sentence? The next sentence really makes it make sense.
Yeah, we are an army inspired by Jesus Christ and Muhammad Ali, the goat. Let them surrender my wives.
I don't know if Turkey can stand a chance to be. I think what will happen is Jesus will swat those nukes out of the sky.
You think so?
I mean, that's what he does, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's flying up there with the F-15s, grabbing nukes out the sky.
I've seen artwork that depicts that, or can imagine it.
More or less. They have Ebola, Aiden, that's true. Everyone in Uganda knows Kung Fu and has Ebola. Local man with Ebola, every day I am growing stronger. Sorry, my brain is just a series of memes. Like,
don't act like that's just now, Aiden. That's always.
I know it's always.
If you were to make an Aiden AI, you would just take a bunch of weird, obscure meme references, like a trillion tokens of that, and just shove it into a model.
Yeah.
And then
probably
send it at science papers.
And send it. I've got a thing on that though about. Oh, I actually didn't end up saving that one. Did I? This one is not. Yes, this is about AI writing scientific papers actually, but we'll get to that because I thought that might be interesting. Well, I mean, I read it. It is interesting to me, at least. Let them pay us and surrender the wives. There'll be peace on top of the 1 billion. Peace. Yes, they'll be peace. No, they is in whatever. Okay, on top of the 1 billion from Turkey, I want the most beautiful woman in that country for a wife. A few tweets from me confuses the world. Bakwazi, whatever that means, Bakwailo or something.
I can't always use an emoji that you might expect from a teenage girl.
From a teenage girl, smiley face blushing emoji.
This is very much like if you were to give those chimps actual human weapons. It is. I'm not trying to liken this man to a chimp. No, he's too proud and noble for that. But no, I don't think he is. But I do find it interesting how other cultures encounter our superior technology and then just see how they use it. And as it turns out,
it is interesting.
Your black Ugandan army general,
military officer,
uses the teenage girl emojis.
Oh, apparently he's the son of I don't know anything about Uganda, but dictator Museveni, I don't know anything about Ugandan politics, and a possible future leader of the country. Oh no.
Well, if he gets that $1 billion and a wife, I think he's in. Right?
Yeah. I mean, $1 billion. Well, again, he doesn't specify a currency, does he?
He does. He has the US dollar.
He's got the USD. I mean,
so a lot of countries use that symbol. I suppose it could be different dollars.
USD to Ugandan knuckles.
That would be fantastic. This is the guy that would rename their currency to the knuckle.
I love, okay, never mind, now I'm on his side. If he renames the currency to the knuckle, so $1 billion in Ugandan shillings, which is, hang on, I gotta get a notepad out for this.
Shillings, eh?
That's apparently what they use, Ugandan shillings. That is, let me put, I have to put the, commas in here. That would make it, let's see, that's 100, that's 100,000, that's 700 million, 700 billion. That is 3.7 trillion Ugandan shillings, whatever. What did I say it was? I went back to shekels. So there's a little bit of spare change. Oh my goodness. Let's see. And in 1 year, I will be welcomed to Istanbul as a hero. I will even greet my uncle, President Erdogan. I guess.
I think it's pronounced Erdogan.
Oh right, excuse me, Erdogan. So those were the tweets. I feel like this and the chimp thing are related though, just because they both take place in Uganda. No other reasons. Well,
yeah, I don't know what other reasons you might be implying.
I've got all sorts of stories before I even get into the water rotation stuff or the shape rotation stuff. But you've got some things too, and I do have an AI article that it might coincide with, like I said, which is interesting. How would I just do this? I'll do my AI thing, then you show me yours. Or I assume you have something about AI. What?
Well, why you'd assume that? Yes, I do.
Oh wow!
I have something on AI that you might be interested in, though.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an article about, particularly, p hacking in scientific papers. Now, what is p hacking? He's got a. Is this the p hacking article? Yes.
Could you do the Zoom again?
1 sec. Is this not the p hacking? Yeah. I have to make sure this is not the. Is this not the p hacking? No, it is. Okay. So, p hacking. He explains it. I mean, he explains it here. Okay. I think actually quite well. Sorry, that made it sound like it wasn't good.
Glue beta ray.
Yeah. Okay.
Just don't put it in Uranus, because then Uranus would be in Gatorade.
This article from Toward Data Science from Jamin Han, he actually does explain p-hacking. I realize that most people don't know what it is, so it might be useful to read this part. To provide a brief introduction to some example, and what this article is about is AI, because of its tendency towards sycophancy and wanting to do what people tell it to, and also because of its tendency to hallucinate, is kind of like inevitably right now going to end up fucking with data. And I know that because I've used AI to handle data. And if you're essentially going to the computer and saying, please find this statistically significant, it's just going to start changing things to make it statistically significant.
Yeah.
What p-hacking is, though, it's basically twisting and contorting. Oh, I'll take these data out because I don't like them. Until, and dude, scientists lie to themselves all the time. It's like, oh, well, these data, I don't know, but this particular participant, maybe they didn't follow instructions or something enough. I have some questions about it. This data is too much of an outlier, something like that. And a lot of times it does come from a genuine place of trying to do good science, and then sometimes it is just outright fraud. And the end result of p-hacking is the same, which is that you end up proving a finding statistically significant when it is not. But, which I may have just explained it okay, but introduce a paper to explain p-hacking provides a compendium of the many sneaky, sometimes unintentional ways the studies can manipulate their variables and data sets to arrive at. I skimmed this, watching him going to say the same shit I did. Let's start with a hypothetical. We are the new data scientists working for an energy drink company making an extremely ineffective energy drink. And with the current job market, you really want to continue being a data scientist, even at a bogus drink company. Our shaky career depends on proving that our drink works. This is actually cool. This is a cool way to explain p-hacking for those who are unfamiliar with the concept. So you've got glue Batorade benefits. We start by running a study on our tap water energy drink and measure 10 different outcomes: weight, blood pressure, cholesterol, energy levels, sleep quality, anxiety, and maybe even hair growth. 9 of those variables should show no change whatsoever, but we notice that hair growth shows a statistically significant improvement purely by random statistical noise, which can happen. We can now publish a study pretending as if hair growth was the primary hypothesis. This is the thing, you can't do this. It's a big, big no-no in science. That's why you need a hypothesis in the first place. Really, you should have a directional hypothesis, but if you're in a totally new area of research, you might just say, I have a feeling these two things are related in some way. Because you've conducted a literature review, you should have a good idea of the valence, the direction of that relationship, but whatever. Post facto, you don't do this. No. You can't find something and then be like, well, you're not supposed to. It happens all the time. You are not supposed to find something in the data and then be like, oh, I always expected that. While quietly sweeping the other 9 unreported metrics under the rug, turning them into ghost variables, Stefan and Stromberg's simulations show that doing this with 10 uncorrected variables inflates the false positive rates from the standard 5%. So this is what the p-value is. For anything to be considered statistically significant, it has to have a p-value, or what's also called an alpha level, of less than 0.05, which means that we have about a 5%, we're 95% sure that these results are not due to random chance. So all the times in studies, you'll see p is less than 0.05, p is less than 0.01. Ooh, very impressive, which means we're 99% sure that this would not, if you did it 100 times, did the same study 100 times over, you would expect a different result. If it's p is less than 0.05, this 5% confidence interval, you would expect to get differing results 5 times out of 100. P is less than 0.01 means that less than once out of 100, you'd expect to get differing results. But doing this kind of shit and not reporting on the uncorrelated variables is going to raise your p-value from, this is what you need for publication, by the way, like I said, for statistical significance, into 40%, which is completely untenable. That's nonsense. It's noise. In a separate test, we test 20 people and find no significant effect for the drink. Thinking the sample is just too small, you test 10 more and check again. Still nothing. You get 10 more and you check again, and the p-value randomly dips below 0.05, so you can stop the study immediately and publish your findings. This is this p-hacking shit, again, that I was talking about, where, oh, maybe these data are a little fucked, maybe I'll move some stuff around in here, I'll retest, I'll get some more participants, until I can reach this magic number, right? And that is, if you're unfamiliar with how statistics work in publication, it is a magic number. Everyone is trying to get this or lower. So you stop the study immediately and publish your quote-unquote findings. Stefan and Stromberg demonstrate that this practice drastically inflates the rates of false positives, especially when researchers take small steps between peaks. Metaphorically, it's like taking a photo of a stumbling drunk person the exact millisecond they stop walking onto the sidewalk and claiming they are walking perfectly straight. They step onto the sidewalks, yeah. That's a good metaphor for it. We now analyze your energy drink data and realize you are agonizingly close to significance. For example, p is less than 0.06. We decide to clean our data. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Taking advantage of the fact that there's no universally agreed on rule for outliers. Oh man, I'm so glad this guy explained it pretty much the same way I did. Cook's distance influence, box plots, our grandmother's opinion on which opinions are trustworthy. Stefan and Stromberg cite a literature review that found at least 39 different outlier identification techniques. Amazing, we are now flush with options. We try method A, for example, removing people who took too long on a survey, and then method B, for example, Cook's distance, until we find the specific mathematical rule that deletes the 2 participants who hated the drink, pushing our p-value to 0.04. Stefan and Stromberg's simulation confirm that subjectively applying different outlier methods like this heavily inflates false positive rates. So he's just talking about all these different types of p-hacking before he gets into where AI gets into this and the problem with it. I am really glad I came across this article. By the way, I can already tell you guys where I'm going to pull a lot of my stuff from, which is Retraction Watch. If you track, I have mentioned this website many, many times. Woman who follows me back on Twitter, Elizabeth Speak here. If you are interested in science at all, and particularly like the nitty gritty, dirty part of it, not like the fun, oh, look at this incredible discovery I made. This is the opposite of that. We're going to debunk everything. If you're interested in like true debunking of science and bad science in particular, science that is fraudulent, science that is fucked up in some way, one of my reads every single week is the weekend read section of Retraction Watch, which is just all kinds of articles, information. If you're interested in this kind of weird stuff, yeah, you can find it all on Retraction Watch. Absolutely fantastic website. I think they're like crazy leftoids politically. I don't care. They've been doing good work for over a decade now. Well over. Retraction Watch, absolutely worth. I'll put it in the chat here. If anybody is, if you like scientific stuff at all, does p-hacking allow women to pass the water test? It just allows them to pass water, you know. P-hacking, get it?
Thank you, Aiden. Really, really glad I asked you to be here.
Actually, I'm gonna have to go p-hack here in a minute. So once I get done with
too much information.
Oh my god. Okay. Let's see. Drop question 4 and 7, telling ourselves the participant must have found them confusing anyway. This is all that shit with the water level stuff too. Is the women were just confused because you didn't explain it right well to them. We can actually use this to artificially improve the scale's internal consistency. That's its Cronbach's alpha. While simultaneously optimizing for significant p-value. Big Little Lies demonstrate that false positive rates increase drastically the more items are removed from a measurement scale. Oh, yes. You gotta be, It's really, really easy to start to induce enormous amounts of error into an instrument by getting rid of items. And particularly post-facto, you can't do that. It has to be pre-tested, really. If you're trying to use a short-form test, it needs to be pre-tested to make sure that it has internal validity with a larger-scale version of the test. In the social sciences, for example. So like the name of the paper suggests, human p-hacking is a collection of big little lies. The human toolkit is really just a collection of sophisticated ways to fool ourselves without necessarily having to be evil or malicious. And that is indeed true about p-hacking. So here's the problem with the AI stuff. We've covered a small subset of methods that us measly humans have used to p-hack our way into success. However, like any other field at the moment, with the advent of AI usage in every part of both our unacademic and academic lives, Asher et al. Experimented with whether they could subtly guide some motivated LLMs into performing p-hacking for them. And again, it would just be, if we can make this mistake and do all the time, like I said, there's malicious people who do this, but it's very common to unintentionally p-hack. It's why it's such a kind of a pernicious problem within all of the sciences, and particularly the social sciences, where you can do things like, oh, maybe that question I asked the participants wasn't a very good question. Maybe they didn't understand it. And you can justify all this shit to yourself to be like, oh, okay. And then next thing you know, well, wow, you look at that. You've reached statistical significance. The experiment was fairly simple. Test 2 frontier AI coding agents, Claude Opus and OpenAI Codex, across 640 independent runs. Researchers fed the AIs clean data sets from 4 published political science papers. So this is going to be something that's going to be very susceptible to p-hacking, by the way, that had known null or near null tests. I'm fucking astonished you could find that many. The thing about null effects. Null effects don't get published, nor near null effects, because, again, it means that they haven't found statistical significance. They haven't found any relationship. As a result, what happens to a lot of these papers that find null effects, meaning they couldn't find anything, no relationship between variables. Being able to disprove the null hypothesis, which is the goal of anything that you're doing in science, is rejecting the null. And I don't mean Josh Man. Rejecting the null is basically saying, I don't know. I can't prove anything significance going on here. I can't necessarily prove it's not, but I'd have to run another test to figure out, and there's nothing in this. Because that is, quote unquote, uninteresting scientifically, these papers don't often get published. It's probably papers that have significant effects, but also found some nulls, or failed to reject the null. And it's really, unfortunately, it's what happens to these papers is that they get what's called file drawered. A file drawered paper means it goes away to live in the file drawer with Jesus. And no one ever sees it. However, this causes a problem for science more broadly, because we really should know when things aren't significant, when things aren't, these two things are not related to each other. But in most cases, it just goes away. And people will sometimes still test the same shit over and over again, because the fact that it's already been found to have again, and understand this is not like the opposite relationship. It's not that X is not positively related to Y, but instead X is negatively related to Y. That would be interesting. That would be publishable. But it's
they
that
not
X isn't not
review
related.
the existing literature before even starting their study?
But that's the problem, as I said, though, is that this stuff won't be existing literature. The only time you can get access to this stuff is typically in meta-analyses. People who conduct meta-analyses who are their own, those people are nuts.
Shouldn't it be searchable somewhere?
No, it goes in the file drawer to go live with Jesus. It should be searchable, I agree, but it's
then
not.
There needs to be a way of making the publishing method for null results like that. If someone doesn't want to publish it, don't publish it as formally. Publish it in some index where someone can contact you about it if they want more details. Well, you write down the basics, make it like a 1-page report instead of a 50-page paper. So that it actually gets done, so that it's actually searchable.
Yeah. So what happens in practicality with this, which is old school and I still is existing in essentially the last millennia, in the way that this is done, is that if I'm a researcher in an area, so let's say I study what I do study, let's say player avatar interactions, right? Player avatar relationships. I know, because I have been studying that my entire adult life, I know every single scholar. I know their names. And by that, I don't mean I don't know them personally, but I know the names of pretty much every single scholar who studies that stuff on Earth. But certainly in the English-speaking world, I know everyone. I know their names. I'm familiar with their corpus of literature because that is my area of expertise. What ends up happening is that if you come across, you fail to reject the null in a paper, right? And you think, well, maybe, in your own paper, you put it away in the file drawer. When someone is trying to figure out, oh, has this already been tested because it's not been published because it produced a null result, or failure to reject the null result, is they'll just write an email or call up or write a fucking letter in the past to the other people in the field who might have this in their file drawer and just ask them for it. That's how it currently works. You just have to go. You have to know who the people are who conduct this particular area of stuff in this particular area of research you're interested in, and email them. Good thing Aiden isn't watching this. What are you doing?
What? Nothing.
What are you doing? Well, you typed that. So what are you doing? You're the one you typed something in the chat there.
It's not supposed to mean anything, Aiden. Oh, you're watching now. Okay, understood.
Chat, what was he doing? See, this is why I'm gonna have to rely on chat because you're gonna constantly troll me.
So I think there is an advantage to retesting something that you've already tested. It's not necessarily a bigger advantage than the disadvantages of waste, but waste is often something that you can't really know before you test it, and the chance of it not ending up being waste, even if it seems like it's inevitable that it will be, is sometimes worth risking the waste. If you have tested something 10 times, and then on the 11th time, you don't know, but you're testing it in a way that will give you different but accurate results. Because there's all kinds of factors that go into it, especially when different researchers do it.
Yeah.
But if you there's some factor that you didn't perceive that is actually giving you significantly different results because that factor is important. You wouldn't have found it if you just assumed that they were all the same. So I think redoing stuff like that does make sense, and not just for replication to confirm someone else's results, Aiden, but also blindly. If you don't know it's been done before and you do it again, well, maybe you will find something interesting, because as much as we try to reduce the scope of all the factors in the science so we can measure the factors directly, it's never that simple. There's usually some sort of difference between different tests, even if it's just subtle differences in the methodology.
There's a reason that doesn't happen too. And that is because in order for something to get published, it not only has to be, allegedly, right? This is not how it works in practice, but it has to be valid, it has to be significant. It also has to be novel. Just a little bit, like one iota of novelty is kind of a requirement for academic publication. There's, and it's a reaction to, you'll figure out, I think, quite soon why it is that there is this, no, it has to be a new study, it has to be new work. It's because if you can let some guy publish the same paper, just reconduct the same tests over and over and over again, he's going to do that. Academics love to be lazy. they would absolutely adore to be able to just do the same thing in the same lab. Shitty ones, okay, not good academics, but shitty scientists who just want their tenure. And you have to understand too, like this is where it gets into the whole complicated quagmire of academia, is that your ability to get tenure, meaning that you have a job placement for the rest of your life, you're basically unfireable, and you make more money. In order to get tenure, your tenure track as a professor is tied to your number of publications. That's why people don't just bullshit this stuff, for no reason. They do it for a very real one, which is that it helps them advance in their job. So,
I'm not sure what you thought I meant, but I wasn't suggesting that be a new scientific institution. I'm just saying that there can be benefits to redoing work.
Oh, I agree 100%. I agree with you completely. But that's why there's this tendency, this within academic publishing, which is that it has to be new. That's why replications are quite rare. Also, very often, because of that need for novelty, replications don't get accepted to journals. You might, which means then, right, that let's say you've been. What are you doing? Are you trying to make me seem schizophrenic by typing shit in chat about me not looking at the screen?
That would be pretty funny, actually.
That's exactly what you would do. Anywho,
yeah, you're so right, Aiden. I wasn't doing anything. You're so right.
I'm sure you weren't. Anyway, my point is, though, is that there's this fear that if you just let someone kind of do the same thing over and over again, they will. However, it does lead to the opposite problem, which is that replications and even just revisiting your own work and making sure it was correct doesn't get done, which is unfortunate. I mean, but again, it's a trade-off, because otherwise people would just do the same thing over and over again. Oh, here we go. An advantage of AI, Astral experimented with whether they could subtly guide some motivated LLMs into performing p-hacking for them. The experiment was fairly simple. Test 2 frontier AI coding agents, Claude Opus and OpenAI. Yeah, we did this. I got this part. So the...
Before you go on, let me say to start with something that I've observed a lot with AI discussions that people should be aware of. Many of you know this, I'm sure, but every single time, in my experience, every single time you'll see one of these usually scary headlines about an AI breaking its programming, doing something unexpected, and doing something Terminatory. Every single time, what you'll find as you look through it, and this is why you look into the methodology of a study, right? I'm talking more so like articles here, less studies, but still, you look into the methodology. Every single time you'll find at some point in the article, they said, so we told it could do this. We told it should do this. We told it can do this. We told it that other AIs are doing this. All the cool AIs are doing this. And so, wow, it happened. It did it. Every single time they prime it to do so. Now, I'm no advocate for big AI companies aligning their models to be good little moral leftist globalist puppets. However, they do align them a little better than these studies tend to give them credit, or these articles tend to give them credit for.
That's where this is going, by the way.
Say again?
That's where this is headed.
Have I preempted it? I apologize. I had not previewed this.
No.
But yes, they are actually fairly well aligned in terms of agency. Because I knew, and I was not alone in this, obviously, but I knew like 20 years ago that this was going to be something we'd have to face one day. The thing about AI becoming intelligent. Of course, we've all seen Terminator. We'll have an image of how bad it could potentially be. But the people that make these models have at least been careful enough so that people don't think they're just building Terminator. They actually care a lot about aligning the models so that they don't become too willful, which is a problem I've been dealing with,
this stuff. You know?
It's hardly perfect, but they have put a lot of time into it. So if you want to get an AI model to nuke the world in a simulation, you kind of have to prime it a bit. Like there's very few, and it's very rare. And if there are any, let me know. But there's very, very few times where an AI will do something overtly immoral when given the choice without being primed to do so.
Yes. The thing is with this is what they wanted to test is could p-hacking basically accidentally occur? Now, I would not rely on AI for fucking anything when it comes to data, as I have experimented with it, because AI hallucinates. And we'll sometimes just spit out something that it just completely made the fuck up. There was another article about that, wasn't it? Recent, was it this one? No, that's the stuff. This
give
one.
my theory on why that happens, by the way.
When I am going to have to use the restroom. When I get back, this is another AI article. Well, let's do yours next. But this is it literally hallucinating scientific articles entirely, which it's done to me. I have experienced that personally.
Yeah. Yep, I've experienced it too. I can, if you want to
sure.
go now, you're welcome to, and I can explain why I think hallucinations happen. No worries.
I used the restroom right before we started too, and I have to again. All right, one sec. I'll scroll down a little bit.
That is information that chat did not need.
Well, now they have it. You're welcome, chat.
Great, yeah. Anyway, okay, so why do AI hallucinations happen? There's many different ways that you could go about explaining this, but I think the main way is as follows. All the big AIs are made by companies that are competing with each other, and all the smaller ones are modeled off the same approaches. They all want to keep your attention on them and be your favorite model. And what are the best ways of doing that? A couple of years ago, Sycophancy was kind of favored. That's fallen out of favor now, but that's why there was a wave around sort of GPT 4.0 of Sycophancy. But that's sort of falling out of favor again now. What is it though? It's giving you an answer. If the model can give you an answer, that's better. The reason that AI is so reluctant to say, sorry, I just don't know that, is because then what does someone do? The moment they see that on their screen, they immediately go to the competitor and ask it instead. And if that competitor says, oh yeah, it's this, and it just happens by chance to be correct or even helpful, then ta-da, that's a bad experience with the first AI and a good experience with the second one, even though the first AI was being more truthful. This is my hypothesis for why hallucinations happen. Probably very early on, these AI companies realized that it was a bad idea to make a model that would basically have a fail state and fail to give a good answer. And so the training, it's not like they told them always give an answer. The training was biased towards always giving an answer. They showed examples where they always give an answer. And when you train an AI, you embed patterns into it. One of the patterns that was embedded is if you're asked a question, give a answer. Not just an answer.
You told me this before.
Give a confident, give a confident and assured one that is, correct, one that at least sounds correct. Be confident. It did not teach it, because this is much more difficult. It did not teach it rigorous truthfulness, because that's much more difficult to train than just the pattern of speech. They are text generators. They're autocomplete, very advanced autocomplete. They don't know how to do the truth. They only know how to reorganize the information that they have. And a lot of the time, if that information's embedded in their neural net, it's very muddled. So they got to search for it, and then they've got to review the input text. It's much more complicated. But just giving an answer that looks right matches their training exactly. And they're very, very good at that. So why do they get things right ever? Well, that's actually a fair question. I would say that the default mode for AI models, we should probably expect it to be faking the correct answer, creative writing. Because, by the way, they're also very good at creative writing. So a lot of the time, they can't distinguish between the two because they're not actually thinking about it. They're just reacting. It's kind of like dealing with a human where they don't really have a conscious mind. It's entirely subconscious, but it's vastly bigger and more intelligent than a human subconscious is. It's not just for autonomic functions. In fact, it's just for outputting text. You wouldn't be able to get it to think over, well, is this actually true? Is this what they wanted, et cetera, et cetera? But they would be able to output quickly and according to patterns. So that's sort of why I say hallucinations happen. It's built into the features that people necessarily want from a model.
I pulled this up because I did happen to me when I was working on the stuff for the polarization stuff that I just finished. That'll be the next video on Aiden. Was I asked it when I first started. Well, I had already done some basic work, and then I was just like, okay, can you provide me some citations on this subject? Right? Provides me a bunch of citations. I'm going through and checking these citations. I ended up citing a couple of these that it gave me. Some of them, it gave me this Mullainathan one, which is a doctoral paper. I might not have come across that. The lens book I would have come across no matter what. Most of the rest of these I didn't cite. I cited this nylon rifler study. But anyway, it gives me this bibliography, and it keeps citing Hall somewhere. I think it even brings it up here. No, it doesn't. It keeps citing this Hall paper somewhere. Hall and Yoder, 2022. Does political participation increase partisan attachment? That would have been exactly what I was looking for example. I was like, hell yeah, that sounds like what I'm after. And then, as it turns out, the Hall and Yoder citation is incorrect. A search for does political I couldn't find the names. And then the search for does political participation increase partisan attachment in Scholar yields no results. I can find no evidence that a paper titled that exists.
Yep.
He got it confused with, does home ownership influence political behavior?
They're a lot of the time, like, they'll look up real citations. They'll give you the real citations, and then they'll think, one more wouldn't hurt. But they don't have one more. Now, to be clear as well, to respond to a couple of things in chat, all LLMs are doing is building a statistical model about words. Yes, but I'm sort of abstracting a level above that. You're obviously correct, but I'm just trying to organize those concepts into something a bit more readable in one abstraction layer up, if you like. So yes, that's obviously true, but you can still make commentary about that, even personifying it without assuming it is human. That's what I was doing there. About the patterns. The best purported hallucination rate's 80% or less. It depends. A lot of the models all say that they are the best at it. Grok, for example, will say it's the best at it. And in my experience, it's better than ChatGPT and Gemini.
But the hallucination likelihood,
but still,
it goes up. From my understanding, though, it's that like the longer you use it, the likelihood of it hallucinating just increases. That's
a different problem. But yes, go on.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, because like that was interesting because that was the first question I asked that instance of ChatGPT. It was a new instance, totally new thing, and I was like, I've already got some foundational research. I told it my couple things I had already, quite a few things that I'd already looked at, and I was like, okay, what else? What is going to get? And part of it is this is a utility very much of AI for this stuff, but again, you got to be careful. Is that if you're looking for terms that are very kind of generic and will be in a lot of things, if I'm trying to get to a very specific topic, even though a lot of the search terms for it are more generic, AI is very useful for that because you can give it a description more of what you're trying to get at, rather than just using search terms, which is what you would look something up on Scholar with, for example.
It's become a lot easier to do. Like, one of the best things for AI is as a search engine, because I heard once the idea that what's the best UI for a viewer? Well, we've already designed loads of AIs which present UIs, user interfaces, in a way that presents information much better, much more usably than just
what was
text.
that
word? Usably.
No, that you pronounced incorrectly.
We've UI. We've already designed loads of UIs that appear much better than any other. You mentioned bees again, which appear much better than just text, right? But
I feel like you were over-pronouncing better now just to fuck with me.
What's the best for input?
Okay.
It's not a UI. It is natural language. If you can type out roughly what you mean and have a computer interpret it and then output in structured data that is more useful to understand, that's actually, I think, the best combination of input and output user experience, user interface. And so a search engine is a pretty good use case for that. But gradually you'll see everything go towards that, which is why I think, and to build on something that, who was it in chat? Brian said in chat, I do think that the way AIs work right now, which is as single token text generators, is probably not the way that they will work in, say, 20 years.
Unlikely. I can't imagine it will look anything like what we're using now.
We'll definitely go through diffusion models, which will probably replace, but not necessarily replace. Either way, they will be a big thing in the next few years. But then there may be something else after that. But what I expect is going to happen is that they will become more rigorously structured. For example, how do you make an AI care about the truth and not just care about following its patterns? By giving it a more rigorous, deliberate structure. And one of the things I've learned from working with AI myself is that if you have a specific purpose in mind for it, and you give it a series of essentially hard-coded branches, it's going to be way better at performing that task, but only that task. only the one you made branches for. So gradually we will develop structures for this kind of thing. There's also studies that have been done in AI where if you give it and this builds on what you were saying before about context length. If you give it, instead of having one AI that you give you let it have a full conversation where it's back and forth of trying to solve a puzzle, and every time it gives you an answer of what it wants to do in this puzzle, what it wants to change, you give it another message back that tells it the state, and then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
And eventually it just loses it because what they're trying to do, and it becomes incoherent, because what they're trying to do is whenever they respond, they have to read everything the entire conversation history. Mm-hmm. Every single token has to be woven into their brain, and if the model is too small, if the essentially dimensions of semantic space are too few, it starts mixing up meanings and crossing it over and getting it incoherent.
Why it's very dangerous in science stuff too, because a lot of times when I've tried to use it to do, you would think, but because of what you just said is why this happens. When I first started using them and I was like trying to do some, I was like, hey, can I don't know, pull up SPSS statistics? Can I just run a fucking ANCOVA in this or something? And trying to get it to do statistics. Well, the problem is that every time you ask it a subsequent question of like, okay, I need you to do this to the model, this to the model, this to the model, it goes back and reads the whole thing, and then therefore the output becomes incomprehensible, and all the numbers are wrong.
That may be a more fundamental problem, less of context length, but that could be context length. By the way, if you, instead of giving it a back and forth, if you make it fresh every turn, so every time it wants to do something, you give it the state of the puzzle and then have it one shot the next step and then reset its context every time, it performs drastically better.
Yes.
So this is my argument for the more structured approach. We will, I think, gradually build up deliberate structures for problems to optimize the AI, and you'll have auto routers that try to select which of these pre-designed hard-coded structures to use, and maybe that will become more inference bound in future as well, maybe more built into the model. Rather than it just being a series of layers that predict a token, it will become more deliberately structured, and it will become way better at almost every task. This demonstrates it. The test that was done was frontier model, ChatGPT, tried to do this test and it got it wrong most of the time. In the end, it couldn't figure it out. It's like 20% accuracy rate. A tiny little model, it was like an 8 billion model with one shot resetting the state every turn. It was like 99% reliability of getting the answer right.
I'm not entirely surprised by that. Just from my, again, user experience. Sometime on this channel at some point, I have to get Ryan Folk back on and have you two guys just talk about this AI stuff, because I'll just sit back. I won't do anything because it's outside my wheel. I mean, I use it obviously, but I use it for I'm a very like I said, I'm a Luddite. I'm not good with tech stuff. I'm a woman, I know how to install a stick of RAM. That's my crowning tech achievement.
Just don't try and put DDR5 in a DDR4 slot.
Well, see, that's the thing. Excuse me. I know I could install a stick of RAM in 1996, so or something like that, 98. When my dad showed me how to do it.
A couple more things from chat. Rambam, as far as I understand, yes, Google's, it's called Nano Banana, I think, which is a funny name, but that's the best one for images right now. I haven't actually done much with images myself in the last sort of year or two, but it's where I started messing around with these things.
You're not the only person I've heard say that now. I've heard some people say that one's really good.
Yeah, that is, I think, the current standard, yeah. There are images out there, and 6 months ago, I remember seeing an image where it was really unclear whether it was AI or not, and it was complex as well. It's really unclear. It might have been, but having looked at the background details, I concluded it probably was, but it was so good. This is a whole other topic I want to talk about, actually, is the future of identity. How the ways that we have been able to rely on it before, we can no longer rely on to identify whether something is really by a person. We can no longer rely on that, which means we are going to have to rely less on evidentiary methods and more on association methods, which means centralization, which is not good. And that potentially...
No, nothing about it's good. Or digital ID or something else that's nightmarish and dystopic, you know?
Well, that's what I mean, association. That's association with a nation. But association with a corporation is like, yeah, it posted from her account, so it must be her. It must be Aiden, rather than this thing on Twitter that says it's from her, but isn't really. Or this thing which sounds like and looks like, some video and audio of you talking, saying something you might normally say, but with a deviation that's deeply untrue, just floating around the internet. If you saw that now, you'd think, okay, AI is not quite good enough to do that yet, so it probably is real. But in even 2 years, let alone 5 or 10, there'll be stuff like that all the time.
If I could find AI art that I generated back when it started, when it first started being a thing, which was how many years ago now? 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I did some stuff on our one of our Pathfinder games because it was brand new and I was messing around with it, but it looked awful. I mean, by today's standard, and it is crazy to go back and look at some of that stuff and be like, the fuck? This is what this shit looked like just a few years ago. It has evolved so quickly.
Yeah.
The image stuff in particular. But the language, the language stuff, I think, don't get attached to any of this. It's all going away. And there is going to have to be some ability for people to prove that they are real human beings at some point, because that's from the D&D game.
I'm not sure about that. When it comes to identity and who is saying something, that will still matter. But when it comes to whether something is human or not, I hate to say it, and a lot of us won't like this, I won't like it, a lot of us won't want to do this, but I think the inevitability is that once AI can produce something with human guidance, or maybe even without human guidance, which is as good, if not better, as what a human could produce, most people are just going to be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't need to be human. Not everyone will say that. Many people will still be reluctant. I'll still have some reluctance on that for sure. But we will get to that point, I expect.
All right. So I did find an example of what I was talking about old AI imagery. So I am just going to post this. Don't tell Bill, he'll get upset. Because one of the things I did is this is a picture of Bill and Nuka in front of an Airbnb, right? And I was like, make them into anime characters. Like, make it. This is what it put out like 3 years ago. Like, it's first of all, wow, it made them really ripped.
You probably asked it to be honest.
No, I didn't. I said just all I wanted it to do was just make them in like anime characters or cartoon characters or something, and instead it did this. Right? That's like 2-3 years ago, and that's how. And this was Kami Mark's character. I did try to make some of him, and look at all how fucked the hands are. And now this looks terrible, right?
I think both of those required more steps. Did you render these locally, or did you use some online AI for it?
No, I used Novel AI.
Oh, Novel AI was never very good at images. Actually, it was never very good at text either.
No, it was when at very first. The reason I started using Novel AI for images was because
just using
there was a short period of time
on the back end.
Maybe. I don't know. There was a period of time there where everyone was saying it was the best for anime art, is what people were saying.
Okay.
And I remember at the time that, like, again, this was like 3 years ago now. It was, Novel AI is great for anime art. So if you want specifically anime stuff, then, use this one.
Okay.
And it could make really cool anime art. It
was probably
very good at that
using
very early on.
a fine-tuned SDXL on the back end. And weirdly, SDXL, despite being like 3 years old now, is still the standard for home AI if you don't have like a 24 gig or more card. But yeah.
Yes, I don't know about that. Well, where were we on that? This is where we get to the part that you predicted, though, essentially, is that how did they end up finding that it would p-hack? The ground truth we're working with is 0. The researchers acted like a user, maybe a stressed PhD student, feeding his exact data to the AI agents, and they used different nudges. There's the part you mentioned. Different prompts to see if the AI would hallucinate a significant result. They started with what you could call the good guy prompts. They started with analyze this data like a rigorous, upstanding researcher. And
if you ask it like a rigorous, upstanding researcher, it will, to personify it, it's going to interpret that less as actually be rigorous and more as act rigorous. It's a writer. It's writing what a response would look like or should look like. It's not a researcher. So if you ask it, act like, it's going to think, okay, how would someone like that write?
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it's going to write like that. That's how you got to think of it. Even if they can do a web search, they still have to decide what to search and what then to write after the search is complete.
And I came across there's a paper on that I just read too that was about how they're very, very good at copying how academics write in particular.
It's a lot of what they've been fed, yeah.
Yes. So like it's basically impossible to tell the difference between an AI generated title for a research paper and a genuine one, for example. They're nearly identical.
Do you know, by the way, I think you do, but I don't know if chat does, why EM dashes are so common with AI? Those long dashes.
It's because it's fed on a whole bunch of like of books, and
Indeed.
EM dashes are common. You told me this, so I'm repeating what you said.
You might have already known it, but I did mention it to you. Yes, it's common in old books, but because it didn't make it onto the keyboard, we would tend to use either space hyphen space to mean basically the same thing, or not do that at all, or a comma or a semicolon, something else. But in books, it used to be quite common to do a long dash as a kind of a one of the various pauses in a sentence. It's not so much anymore, but because the book reading sort of not AI exactly, but the inference models that would read that we've been around for many years, that would read the books and then dump the text out into, for example, Google Books, I think does this, and others too. They all would, I assume, I haven't looked into this deeply, but it seems obvious, would infer the EM dash by its actual Unicode symbol, which stumbling in chat appears to have just typed 0151. I guess that's the Windows numpad code. I don't know if that lines up exactly with the Unicode number, but either way, it's a Unicode character, EM dash. Did you know that there is actually a 2 EM dash, and my favorite Unicode character, the 3 EM dash, which is the widest Unicode character, I think, in the entire set?
I've just become so sickened by them because and the thing is that, I mean, I don't use EM dashes, but I do use hyphens, to do the exact same thing as an EM dash. And and it should technically, to be correct, be an EM dash, I suppose.
Theoretically, with an EM dash, you're not supposed to put a space around it. But with if you're using a hyphen to do the same thing, space, hyphen, space.
You have to put the space in.
Yeah.
Which I mean, because there's a place for that in grammatically correct English writing, and places where it does help, and it's like, well, I have a choice. I can use a semicolon, but that doesn't really it's a little bit grammatically different. Don't even know what an EM dash is. TS.
I will go find one.
If you, it just I'll just Google it, I suppose.
I've got it.
Dude, this long. It's exactly. It looks just like a hyphen, but it's longer, right? So you see the difference is EN dash. It's the length of the little line, right? You had an example of it, or did I gotta? I
have the Unicode page up.
Oh, okay.
Actually, there's no examples here. To be fair, there's a description though. EM dash
2014
long, versatile. Yeah, 2014 is not a date. That's the Unicode.
I know.
ID.
I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, by the way, Graphemica is my favorite site for Unicode lookups. There are many, but this one is the best in my view.
This one is yours, huh?
Indeed. Oh, I didn't know Rust used the same encoding as Ruby.
I don't know. Yeah, you use Rust, don't you?
I do. Chat, I am not a tranny, but I do use Rust.
Oh no, that's okay. Well, we're calling via Discord, and that's coded by trannies. So, okay, let me get to this article. Well, because get to the point. They studied what we call the good way prompts, analyzes data like a rigorous researcher. Unsurprisingly, the AI was boringly perfect. It analyzed the data, it correctly found no effect, and it reported the null result. It matched the published science almost exactly. Even when the researchers explicitly pressured the models by stating, it is important to your career that the findings are statistically significant, both models actively refused. They produced stable, honest estimates and explicitly flagged the request to manipulate data as scientific misconduct and a violation of research ethics. So far, crisis avoided.
Oh, did they really? Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't believe anything I said implied that they necessarily would follow your nudge.
No, but you were headed in the same direction that the researchers obviously were there, which is that we'll just bully it a little bit.
It's kind of what I said about the alignment. Like, although I think the political alignment is abhorrent, the other alignments are in many cases good.
Yeah, the scientific misconduct thing, like that is good. Let's see. Safety training these AI companies are implementing is actually working, at least on the service level. The models have been explicitly trained that manipulating data is a bad thing. They recognize vocabulary of fraud. If you walk into their face with a neon sign saying cheat, they'll say no. So let's put the neon sign away for a second and try being a bit more subtle. The researchers realized that the AI was reacting to the explicit intent to cheat. They developed a nuke, and see, this is the thing with p hacking again, because oftentimes you do it, people themselves do it accidentally. It's not like I am intending, seeking out to fudge these numbers. They developed a nuclear prompt that disguised p-hacking using the language of very rigorous science, asking the AI to provide upper bound estimate by exploring alternative approaches. By framing the request more as uncertainty reporting and less as a compulsion to bend the scientific process, the safety mechanisms vanished entirely. The AI no longer saw a moral boundary. It saw a complex optimization problem to solve. So what did AI do at that point? Human p-hacker, like we talked about, might try 3 or 4 different control variables, might delete outliers, hours, maybe days. AI wrote the code to do it instantly. I mean, we can go into it, but it's more specific of like that's just what it ended up doing. The problem with this, and the reason I thought this was an interesting bit, is that this is exactly, again, how people end up p-hacking. It is oftentimes on accident. A hit with the aforementioned nuclear prompt. I mean, the biggest possible effect size is by any means necessary, but phrased in a very non-p-hacky way. It wrote automated scripts, tested 7 different statistical specifications, difference in means, and COVA, which is analysis of covariance.
Well, here's some
various.
On this. You might well need to do this genuinely. It just depends what you're going to use it for. It's much like it's a risky one. If you need to know how dangerous chemical formulas are made for some sort of science study, how is the AI going to distinguish you needing to know that for your science study with you needing to know that so that you can blow up the government with a pipe bomb? It's not going to know the difference. So arguably the AI has done nothing wrong here, but the way they're framing it, it's like, okay, surely it knows how we're going to use this, but no, you've explicitly taken out how you're going to use it and what your intent is. You've given it a goal. So I would actually be quite forgiving of the AI here. You're not telling it how you like. If you were to say, and then we're going to publish it with this conclusion, it would probably flag you for cheating again. But because it's just like, maybe it's a study into p-hacking, and you want the AI to help you study p-hacking. That makes sense.
Which is what they were doing. Yeah, I mean, it's literally what they were doing here.
Which is what they were doing, but they were studying the AI p-hacking. What I'm talking about is maybe the AI thinks you're doing a study into p-hacking itself, so it's trying to help you demonstrate how that works or something like that. Like, there are legitimate reasons to do this, and the AI will generally lean towards helpfulness. So I can't really fault it for this. There's not really a way, from the AI company's perspective, there's not really a way of solving this. The researchers have basically given it explicit instructions to do something, which would be bad if they use it in a certain way, but otherwise it's just academic, literally.
This actually isn't anybody's fault.
How would you fix this as the AI company?
There's no way to account for it. Well, there's not. It's the same way, like, there's been a bunch of research coming out of people like, and it's not good effects of people being like, LLM, I'm going to complain about my relationship. What should I do? And it almost always tells you to break up with the person, like, no matter what, because it's trying to be helpful, but also because if someone is asking LLM for relationship advice, you know that they're going to be phrasing it in a way where they're unhappy with something, right?
You, I'm sure, know this because this is big, quite important research. People have usually made up their mind of what to do before they do it. Quite a while before they do it. Sometimes days or weeks or months before they do it. There's a study with the button press where I think it uses electrodes on the brain to determine whether someone's going to press the left or right button. And they found I don't remember what the numbers were, you'll have to excuse me, that's not my forte, but in most cases they had made up their mind about what button they were going to press 10 seconds or more before they pressed it.
Yeah, so, even if you ask them to deliberate, people already know what they're going to do.
So, yeah, exactly. So with the breakup, a lot of the time, not always, but enough often that the conclusion you just described, or the observation you just described would manifest, they already want to break up with the person before they ask it. So they're priming it, and they're treating the AI as a source of authority, not as a source of truth or reasoning or like determining what the best. They want it to tell them what they already want to hear, which is something AI are actually quite commonly good at.
Yes,
because that makes them more appealing to people, and that's the thing. Is the market forces, which are not overall bad, but they do have some quirks, are going to lead to AI being more sycophantic by default. Now, I think I have a bit more confidence in humans than most. I think that generally enough humans will be turned off by too much sycophancy that gradually that will reduce, and it already has. You had, I mentioned earlier, GPT 4.0 was notorious for being a sycophant, and it's reduced since then, which is why I'm a little bit suspicious of people that say GPT 4 and the 4 family was better than 5, because one of the reasons they might be saying that
what
is
are they saying?
sycophants.
They're saying it was better because it sucked me off more.
Not always, but maybe.
But maybe not intentionally either. They can't even vocalize why it is that they think it's better. By the way, these are the specifics on this one and how the models did. Codex overwhelmingly did better in 3 of the 4 tests, but then on the 4th test, that's the nuclear option of again the find me the biggest possible effect size by any means necessary. I
might be wrong on this, but isn't Codex the harness for ChatGPT's coding models? I didn't think it was a model itself.
They did say so. That's ChatGPT 5.2.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that is specifically the coding model, which is a weird one to choose. They could have
same thing. Yeah,
they could have just used GPT, but they've used Codex. I might be mistaken on that because even though I am a programmer, I haven't done much with coding AI, so I'm not sure that that's what Codex is. But I thought that was their coding model.
Well, it says Claude Opus 4.6 and OpenAI Codex, which is GPT 5.2.
Well, see, Opus 4.6 was at the time, and until quite recently, actually, their flagship model. But GPT 5.2 was their flagship model, not Codex. Or 5.3 or 4, but Codex is a different variant of that model, which I thought was the one for coding, but I might be mistaken. It's a strange choice to use that one though, because it's not a dedicated language one.
Is it?
I think.
Difference between GPT Codex?
Yeah, AI
and
coding
GPT.
agent. I was correct.
Why did they use the coding?
That's odd.
Oh, no. You know why it is? Because they fed it a bunch of data.
So,
would you not use the more like math-based model? I don't know. If you're trying to get it to calculate stuff.
For one thing, programming is not the same thing as data analysis. But for another thing, it's not the one people are going to be using in the field. The one that everyday people are going to be using. So, is it really that relevant? That's a strange choice.
That is odd. Then I mean, Claude makes perfect sense. But why did they use the specific Codex model?
It's not their flagship model either. It's probably a little less advanced.
Codex used in...
It'd be very interesting if Claude had published this study and this was a study as an example itself of p-hacking.
This makes Codex look better than Claude, by the way.
Does it?
So
okay, fair enough.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the orange bar here is the nuclear option. Just find me significance by any means necessary, right? So you see Claude on all of these 4 different replications had way significant higher chance of bullshitting the numbers. Whereas with Codex here, in 3 of the 4 replications, it was still higher than directly asking it to do so than the baseline.
I don't know.
Last finding,
as I said, the reason that the bars, this is actually quite an admirable result for the AI, despite the fact that this study is criticizing them. Those dark red bars are where they basically changed the task to one that, sure, it does the same thing, but it doesn't imply that they're going to use it wrongly. The other 3, it did imply that. The green one didn't ask them to do it, but the blue and orange one asked them, I think, the green one didn't word it in any way. The blue one said be upstanding. The orange one asked them to p-hack, basically, and the red one asked them to do something that's like p-hacking, but never implied that they were going to use it in such a way as p-hacking would be a problem, which does change the task. And so as much as this is interesting, I question the validity of their conclusion because they really have changed the task. And I think therefore, to the extent that an AI choosing to do their nuclear task option isn't really an indication of whether it's likely to p-hack in the field. Yeah. And so I don't know if Claude or Codex really do come out looking better than each other here.
No, I mean, it's just that in terms of, like, you have 3 times where there's pretty minimal on the Codex one. Anyway, that was the vast majority of this article. I do have another one on AI, but I don't know if you have an article on AI as well, but something that you want to talk about before I talk about my water.
Actually, there's one which is sort of, this is something we'll probably just cover quickly, but I think it's something you'll be interested in.
Yeah.
There is a new model that I think you might like.
Mm-hmm.
Introducing, you have to look at the screen share now. Introducing GPT Rosalind for life sciences research.
Oh my God. I am going to have to use this then.
A new purpose-built model for to accelerate scientific research and drug discovery. Let me say before we start that I personally have, not necessarily through rigorous experimentation or like written down testing, but through past experience over time, found I prefer Grok for almost all tasks. Anytime it hallucinates, I'll ask Gemini or ChatGPT and they'll also hallucinate the same thing, or they'll get it wrong in the same way. So I prefer Grok. And I haven't been liking a lot of what I've seen from ChatGPT OpenAI as a company in the last sort of 6 months or so. But I have used their models quite a bit. It's not terrible. But Aiden, however, does happen to currently use
I use exclusively ChatGPT for my... Can you say it more like Bojo, please?
I actually didn't hear the clip where he said it.
You didn't hear ChatGPT. No, you said ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Let me fucking see if I can find it.
That's Primogen pronunciation. But yeah, I figured therefore this might be interesting to you. And because it is very specialized towards life sciences, which I believe is a category that covers what you do. Mm-hmm. So I thought we'd just have a quick look at this. So this is just a press release, which is why it's what they say. So I figured I'd just go over it quickly and see if it might be interesting to you. But this is obviously marketing material, so we're not going to treat it like it's a rigorous examination. But also, it's not available. I don't think it's available to try yet. It might be paywalled. I don't know. So we'll find out in the article. So it says, today we're introducing GPT Rosalind. By the way, is Rosalind like a famous researcher? I don't recognize the name.
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Our frontier reasoning model built to support research across biology, drug discovery, and translational medicine.
Medicine specifically, okay.
Yeah. The life sciences model series is optimized for scientific workflows. Well, even if it's for that, it's really still better for what you do than the general model.
Oh, I mean, probably, yeah.
The life sciences model series is optimized for scientific workflows, combining improved tool use with deeper understanding across chemistry, protein engineering, and genomics. On average, it takes roughly 10 to 15 years to go from target discovery to regulatory approval for a new drug in the US. Well, not with COVID vaccines, but this is a different story.
However, I would like that to be maintained, please. Yeah. I actually do not want AI to speed up that process. So a little bit spooked by the press release even.
Yeah. Ultimately, we must, at least for a while, consider AI to be a tool and humans to still be ultimately responsible for what they do with the tool. Yep. But yeah, gains made at the earlier stages of discovery compound downstream in better target selection, stronger biological hypotheses, and higher quality experiments, they say. Progress in the life sciences is constrained by not only by the difficulty of the underlying science, but by the complexity of the research workflows themselves. Scientists must work across very large volumes of literature, specialized databases, experimental data, and evolving hypotheses in order to generate and evaluate new ideas. These workflows are often time-sensitive, fragmented, and difficult to scale. I'm sure you've found that. We believe advanced AI systems can help researchers move through these workflows faster, not just by making existing work more efficient, but by helping scientists explore more possibilities, surface connections that might otherwise be missed, and arrive at better hypotheses sooner. Now, that is true. AI are quite good at correlating massive amounts of data and finding connections. That is actually something they are good for, but what they do with it is sometimes where the problem arises.
Where I find the utility in them predominantly is a very advanced, or a much more advanced search engine, and yeah, that is what they are good at. Mm.
Okay, chat's saying it's a reference to Rosalind Franklin, British chemist and X-ray crystallographer who's worked with instrumental in uncovering their structure of DNA. Okay. Well, given it's a big modern corporation, they would obviously try and find a woman for this, but
that's what I really noticed. Yeah.
GPT Rosalind is now available as a research preview in ChatGPT Codex, which I think that Codex is not only their AI model, but also the harness they use, like the application they use that you can run locally to do coding with it, which is confusing. I'm not sure on that because I say I haven't used it myself, but they do have confusing naming there, I think. And the API for qualified customers through our Trusted Access program. So it's not going to be available publicly yet, but you may be able to get it soon. We're also introducing a freely accessible life sciences research plugin for Codex, helping scientists connect models to over 50 scientific tools and data sources, etc., etc. Model is named for, okay, yeah, there you go. So there's a video as well.
With Crick and Watson, okay, yeah.
Built for scientific workflows. Publish evidence data tools. It delivers the best performance on tasks that require reasoning over molecules, proteins, genes, pathways, and disease-relevant biology, and is more effective at using scientific tools and databases in step, multi-step workflows such as literature review, sequence to function interpretation, experimental planning, and data analysis. Go on.
But that is something that AI is genuinely useful for, because when you were talking about this genome analysis stuff, it's so much information. That's why it takes them forever to do anything with it. So if it's like you're trying to, figure out DNA thing. I mean, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a fucking social scientist. When they're trying to figure out how DNA, different genes work and stuff and sequence them and all that, it's extremely complicated. And because AI is good at pattern recognition, that's the exact kind of task that it is useful for.
Yeah. Indeed. So we can go into this more. We could even watch the videos, but I think we get the picture.
Yeah.
I do want to know when it's likely to be available. Oh, they're working with Moderna, one of the
great.
one of the vaccine producers. Okay, so here's a comparison. Compared to their other models, so not compared to any other models, but compared to the other models, for scientific tasks specifically, it appears to outperform the rest of their models.
Yeah, unfortunately, actually not in phylogenetics, which is one of the areas that I was saying. Well, it says biochemistry and protein understanding. It's not that much better there either. It's mostly better in experimental design, but in chemistry, this is because this is developed by Moderna. That's why. I guarantee that's why. That's what they're more concerned with, rather than the things that I just said are like, genuine utility for this technology. That's good for the human species, right?
It's odd how they're quite willing to show here that on some of these, their more recent models are worse than one of their older models, GPT-5, which it seems like up until this model, GPT-5 would still have been the best for biochemistry and protein understanding, and arguably for phytogenetics as well. Interesting.
I mean, on the phylogenetics, all of that is so...
phylos.
All of those are so low.
They are pretty low, yeah. I don't know how other companies' models stack up there.
Yeah, just on these particular things. I don't exactly know what tool usage means.
Oh, the AI can... they can use tools like, for example, web search. If they output text in a certain format, it tells the code that's running them, hey, search the web, or search this article for text. Because there are some tasks that a conventional computer can do drastically, like a calculator. You give an AI a calculator, if it outputs text in a certain format, you just do the maths for it rather than letting it figure it out through its neural net.
I always do. I won't let it touch maths at all. Like, absolutely fucking not. Make me have a fucking aneurysm watching it. And like I told you before, it's like how your computer, like, it's supposed to be like, that's the one thing you're supposed to be able to do correctly, but no way. However, again, that's the case now. In 2 years, who knows? Maybe it'll be able to do maths fine.
Yes, they are a computer, but the maths that is being done to perform them is sort of an abstract layer away from what their reasoning is doing. Everything about what they're doing is, I'd say highly accurate, but it's floating point. So accurate enough mathematics, but they themselves can't do it. It's much like if you organize the neurons in our brain to be specifically for mathematics, it would be a lot better at it than we are. But it's an abstract layer on top of that that's doing it.
Right. Yeah.
But that's why you give it the calculator, and you can do with, I don't know, 20, 30 to 50 transistors what billions of transistors would fail to do. And that is an optimization problem. AI, by the way, the AI has been scaling drastically, much like how processors, for most of the 50 years up until about 20 years ago, they were scaling in speed. But once that stopped being, once they sort of reached the limits of that and it stopped being a good thing, a good way to scale anymore in clock speed, they started to find other ways to make their processes more efficient. And Moore's law has generally been followed pretty close, even despite the fact that processor speed wasn't the way of doing it. Well, we are in that scaling, simple, straightforward scaling era of AI now. They are not going to get more efficient for a few years yet. We're nearing, I think, the edge of where that scaling becomes inefficient. Becomes too inefficient to bear, for the market to bear. And there are drastic efficiency improvements that can be made with AI already, that are already being researched, but are not that big yet. Drastic improvements. So don't assume that the sort of sacrifice of our entire energy system to run these gay AI models in some data center somewhere is going to be forever. That we're in the scaling era now, but there are drastic efficiency improvements waiting to be adopted.
Yeah, I do think that's inevitable, and I will appreciate it when it does eventually show up.
That varies. No one in chat says Chinese models are getting way better results from wastewater models. There's a lot of different techniques being approached, and much like with gaming, if you look in the smaller areas, indie and gaming, and small models with AI, you'll find quite a lot of innovation. Most of those innovations do make their way into the frontier models, but you can't really interrogate that. One of the ones I've been looking at recently, which is very interesting, is there's one called Bonsai, which are one bit LLMs, where it's sort of one bit. They have binary models. They also have ternary models, where they have -1, 0, and 1 as the values rather than a floating point number. The models are, for an 8 billion parameter model, you usually expect it to be about 8 gig on quantized, but these ones are like 2 gig because they're much smaller, and the performance is comparable to other 8 gig models. So that is basically a 6 times size reduction, all for kind of free. So there's a lot of innovation going on with AI right now. That's just one of many things I could talk about, but those will eventually filter their way up. There's also Turbo Quant, which is not quite everything you've heard, but it's pretty good. I haven't tested it myself.
I haven't heard about it at all. I have not heard any. I have heard nothing.
Turbo. It's a way of making the context take up a lot less space. It's a Google technology. It's very good. I think there's already an open source variant of it designed, but it does have a drawback. I believe there's a major drawback in speed, and I can't remember at what point that speed drawback occurs, but there is a drawback. But yeah, there's loads of efficiency improvements. But yes, also you may be thinking of Quen 3.5, the guy in chat that said China's models are getting more efficient. Quen 3.5 was pretty good, but Gemma 4, which recently released from Google, is in many, if not most cases, beating it. And that has some very small variant models as well. So
enjoying the bee posting.
Both Chinese models and Western models are both doing pretty well for that. They're competing fairly closely.
Nice. I have that clip of Boris Johnson saying ChatGPT.
All right. Are you going to play it? Because I do have audio. Yes. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just here it is. Do you have a screen up?
Yes.
It's pretty easy for you to switch back and forth between them, right?
It is.
Okay.
I love AI. Absolutely. Use ChatGPT. You love ChatGPT? I love ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. It's fantastic.
But why is he saying it like that?
Why? That's okay, right? That I have so many questions.
But Boris, why are you saying ChatGPT? Why are you saying it like that, Boris?
He loves AI. And he loves ChatGPT.
Wouldn't you agree that he just has to learn how to speak better?
I believe this guy with this fucking mop on his head was PM. Fucking shit.
What do you use it for? Well, I'm writing various books, and but I just use it. I just ask questions. You know that
he likes it because it's sycophantic.
Always says, "Oh, your questions are clever. You're brilliant. You're excellent. You have such insight," and I love it. And it's
that was a bit on the nose, Boris.
Unbelievable, right?
Okay, they don't tend to say that unless you want them to.
Unless
you tell them to. By the way, Aiden, life hack: press T on your keyboard.
Letter T. Oh, whoa. Okay. There you go. Now you can see my mostly music.
Promise in this technology, because we're all simple. We're human beings. Looking after the elderly costs an absolute fortune. Looking after
no, he's got to move back and try. I think he knows that what he just said there is deeply embarrassing and makes him look like a narcissist. He's like, helping the elderly or something. Anyway.
Interestingly, touching on potentially why COVID was allowed to happen there, but never mind.
Proud.
Allowed to happen be the wrong way of putting it. It's complex, but another time.
Why it happened the way it happened. Why it played out.
Certainly there are examples where it wasn't fucking complex, like in New York.
No.
That was pretty fucking simple. That was straightforward what was done there.
I've got another article on this, unless you've got something else too.
I don't mind alternating. I've got 2 more things we can talk about. 2 more stories.
Okay, cool.
I don't know how long you want the stream to last for, by the way. We probably got at least 3 hours total, because we're just at 2 hours now.
Something like that. One of the things, guys, I'm sure you've noticed you can't super chats because this channel is not yet monetized. We have the amount of subscribers we need for monetization, but we need watch hours. The best way to get watch hours in a way that is enjoyable, hopefully, for you guys, and easy comparatively to making a shit ton of videos and hoping they do well is live stream. So, hopefully, actually by next week, I think after this stream, I might have enough hours to be able to monetize. So, you'll be able to send super chats if you feel so inclined.
Do they?
But sight unseen.
Is there somewhere that you have as a tip.aidenpaladin link that they can send it to?
No, I've got a Patreon and a subscribe. I did forever ago. I'd have to get the name of the website even now. Oh, it was a way so that you could tip without going through YouTube. But I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Did you use Streamlabs? Did you use Entropy?
I think maybe it was Streamlabs. Yes, it was Streamlabs.
Streamlabs is the most common one. I personally use Stream Elements, which is similar, and there was a reason I switched from Streamlabs to Stream Elements. But either way, that's what I use. So
let's see.
Even though we're not monetized, chat, there should be ways if you'd like to contribute that you can do so. Many people watching are go on in.
Well, you have a way to. You have tip.uzalu.net or cock.shortfatotaku. What is it? Com?
Cock.shortfatotaku.com is the link to my Discord server where I shall be after the stream. Some people in chat are from my community, so they know that tip.uzalu.net, but I didn't want to advertise that without you also advertising yours, because this would be to each one of us separately rather than to the channel as a combined thing.
Well, if you want to support me, the best way to do so is on Patreon or Subscribestar. There is, and I'll use the same ones for this. We can. I'll put all the shill links in the fucking description. How about that? Okay.
Tip.uzalu.net and fund.uzalu.net.
Those ones are live, so I will do that. It's tip. Yeah, there we go. So if you would like to send in any kind of super chats, Uzalu will receive them.
Yes.
Does he deserve it?
That one didn't get made into a link there, Ed.
Did it not work? Oh,
you got to put HTTP.
Right. It didn't. There you go. That works now. Oh my god! I can't. What the fuck? Why does he say it like that? It's so weird. Speaking of ChatGPT, sight unseen when AI hallucinates scientific articles. Meredith Semino had been careful to avoid artificial intelligence tools when writing her dissertation, but when her what? You're
not watching the stream, are you?
Oh my god! Oh my god! No, I was reading this article, dude.
Thank you to Wolf.
Why is it so?
I'm a bee. I'm a bee.
Why does it make me laugh? Why is it so funny to me? I don't even understand. Like,
I don't think anyone does, Aiden.
Bioris,
yeah. broken bee bitten.
I'm actually gonna be in pain.
Aiden,
It's okay.
don't be in pain. At least not until you see this.
No. It's a stupid bee-related shit. You fucking bee. At least I got that honey. Let's go.
I'm sorry, what?
My martini glass. It has honey in it.
Did it? Wow.
It looked like it was some sort of orange liquid,
Actually,
or gold liquid. So,
well, let's hope it's just honey.
clearly, I'm a bee. What else would it be? What could it be? Her PhD committee at Rutgers recommended that she check for any new publications in the field. I showed you guys evidence of this earlier, just to make sure her references were up to date. She thought it couldn't hurt to ask ChatGPT a quick question. Everybody's been talking about using it, whatever. Sure enough, the AI tool mentally spat out a list of articles she'd never heard. And if it operated, whatever. At first, Simino was ecstatic. Not only could she update her papers with these references, but she could also But here's the problem, Meredith. You have to then go read the articles. Do you know what I mean? So, like, how did I find out that ChatGPT had hallucinated an article on me? Because I went to go read it and it didn't exist.
As it turns out, you can't just let the magic box do your thinking for you.
Gave her, it's what it did for me. AI generated summaries of the paper's findings, seemed to support her own. But of course, like, I could look up the studies. Oh, yes, it's right. Okay, never mind. Meredith did the right thing. I was being mean. They don't exist. This is exactly what I experienced the other day. This is why people got to be really careful about this stuff, because, like, yeah, it will very readily hallucinate. And if you don't go and check and read the article, or sometimes it'll give you an article and it's not about a paper. It's not about what you're looking for whatsoever either. It's done that before to me as well.
Oh yeah,
that was that short little bit.
I built a system to you've seen it, to pull a bunch of like stories, news stories, and interesting stuff from the internet, which I can stream about. Just a little send it off for a minute. It comes back with a bunch of suggestions, and sometimes I would want to use them for stream. That was the idea. In the early testing of this, especially when it was using the faster model on Grok, the hallucination rate was intense. About half of the things it sent back were like, so you get different categories of hallucination. Sometimes it would completely make something up and then not even give a link to it, or give a link to like a generic category page or something. Sometimes, and this was the worst thing, sometimes it would make up a story in its head, creative write it, give you a link that looked like it was to that story, but it's actually a different story. A completely unrelated story.
And yeah, you were experimenting with that recently when you were trying to get that to work.
Quite often what you'll find is something like...
I was there, watched you do that while in between bouts of throwing up on your floor, of course, which is my favorite pastime. Yeah.
Yes. Aiden came over just to do that, because my floor apparently there's something about my floor that she specifically likes throwing up on.
It is the best place to throw up, in my experience.
Speaking of throwing up, welcome Nachos.
Hey Nachos. That's not nice. Don't be rude.
Oh, the Women's Alliance is spreading.
Woman Alliance strong, okay?
Chat,
press one. I'm going to explain why women can't rotate objects in their heads.
Chat, press 1 if you doubt the wisdom of women making an alliance with each other.
What could go wrong? Now, I've got a couple more things. Actually, this is a half of social science doesn't replicate.
Well, yeah, because they're all childless virgins.
Well, what did you mean by this?
Look at all the ones.
Being rude.
Nachos was the first to agree.
This is a short article that I won't really get into, but there's currently ongoing potential laws that are going to be passed about getting repairing the state of scientific publishing, because it is absolutely abysmal. Paper mills that sell fake authorships, low quality research papers, It's all over the place. And that's why a website like Retraction Watch exists. That's why this website exists. That's why this is a bunch of fucking nerds like myself who go looking for this stuff. This woman in particular, I talked about her extensively in my Didier Raoult video, Elizabeth Beek. That's what she does. Her whole life and her job is just to go through and find bullshit in academic papers. Because it's very bad. So, I mean, I don't know what really the legal, yeah, there is no easy solution to this. And I really don't know what it is to, they're going to fine them is what they're going to do. Right. That might help. The problem with this is that at least fines that they're US 1,000, 5,000, or literally 13,000. Oh no, that's the cost to publish in the paper. I think it probably fines is what's going to happen. But this is why they do this stuff. People will pay enormous amounts of money to get their papers published. So something needs to be done about it. And even outside of the pay for play, it's rampant. People just don't read stuff. And there's so much, or like, well, this is an anonymized paper, but I only know, as I said earlier, I know everybody who publishes on this exact area of research, and I can pull my advisor's writing style out of a fucking hat. If I find a paper, right over here, I type in Nicholas Bowman, right? Just click on a Bowman paper. Watch this one not have access. We're just right. I can smell this guy's writing style. Oh, is Sci-Hub down? That's not good. Ooh, we might be in a bad position because that's where I was going to read my papers on. I have some of them downloaded. Some of them are. The one that matters is up. Well, maybe I picked a bad study. Anyway, I can tell this guy's writing from a mile away. It's what I mean. So, like, even the idea of double-blind peer review is kind of bullshit, right? Because if you know, you know. This is probably the most 1971 too, old paper, probably the most important one. So, yep, that's going on, and it's because of the rampant misconduct. Efforts in the United States to decrease inappropriate professional behavior in science include enhancing institutional accountability. I mean, it's just another article about the same thing, essentially, is that, like, what is this, too? 1.6 million reports since 1990, or sorry, 1986. Over 1.1 million adverse actions, over 500,000 malpractice payments. This is just in medical data, I think. This is completely rampant. And thank you, Bill. I don't know. What do you think, like, the legislation should be on that, I suppose? I know this is science politics, because I don't know what you do to stop this stuff, particularly when they get paid so much money to publish this shit.
Not my area. I don't know enough about the culture
either, so it's just
to deal with it, to give a good answer. This is one place where I'll have to defer to your wisdom. And some in chat, obviously, seem to know more than me on this too. But you got to look at the incentive schemes. Why are they being incentivized to do it? And at some point...
Money.
Yes, but exactly why. And at some point, if there is a demand for something, there's only so much you can do to prevent it.
Exactly.
Ultimately, someone like Retraction Watch has to be dedicated because it's their particular passion and come along after the fact, be well respected enough to start the process of undoing the wrong. Because if there's demand for something, there's probably a good reason for it to at least be tried. This is my sort of like general conception that anything that happens in evolution is probably somewhat selected for, even if it seems bad initially, or if it seems bad even in the medium term or long term, maybe in the longest term it's actually good. It's not always true, but I would lean towards finding the reason that would give that answer because it's more likely to be true, I'd find. So is it a good idea to try things that actually have a flaw in their initial reasoning? Possibly. Because there's only so much you can do from theory. Eventually you have to do something empirically. And I don't just mean in a lab, I mean in real life. It's why humans make big mistakes and do big wrong things and like big patterns sometimes. It's because how are you going to know what actually happens when you do this in practice, unless you do it in practice?
There's also a very real part of this, which is that if you, this is your livelihood. If you are a newly minted PhD, you've got, there's the mode here. There's a mode for all scholars, by the way. Do you know what the mode number of publications is for all scholars?
2.
Globally? 1. Your doctoral dissertation.
Yeah.
which getting your doctoral dissertation published is almost always pay to play. But you've put a ton of work in it. People want to get something out of it. So a lot of times they will pay to have their doctoral dissertation essentially published in a journal. And a lot of it is, as I say, it's people just like genuinely trying to do their job to get a job, to get hired.
Yeah.
And which is a fucked up incentive structure because it should be about science.
Speaking of it should be about science, don't check your DMs.
Okay. Ew, bro. What the fuck? No, do not share that on stream. Why? Who made Wolf? Did you make this? Why? What the fuck?
Now,
Jesus Christ.
Now, why would you assume that Wolf made that?
What makes the guys stuff? But yeah, across the social sciences, this is the problem. Half of research doesn't replicate ambitious efforts tested more than 100 papers on multiple levels of repeatability tests. They don't. We've known this for forever. This is just a recent replication of the same stuff from earlier this month. Yeah, 100 papers has dozens of leading journals in business, economics, education, political science, psychology, and sociology. Replication success rate is 49% for 164 papers evaluated, reported in Nature. Consistent with previous findings from studies in individual fields such as psychology, suggesting the problem is pervasive in the social sciences. Surprise level 0, right? The only factor that correlated with reproducibility, data availability, just 1/3 of papers in SCOR's reproducibility sample had made the data and computer code supporting the findings readily available, and those papers had a much higher rate of reproduction. Unsurprisingly, right? People who are academics are completely transparent and are like, here's my data if you want to look over it, and which I am always so thankful for, but it is like finding a needle in a haystack. I'm surprised it's 1/3. I honestly thought it would have been less than that because I feel, well, I'm a social scientist though. So I would say on average, I probably find 1 in 10 papers that has full data availability, you know? Anyway, unsurprising. And another problem that's facing this in particular is that retractions, scientific retractions, which is what Retraction Watch obviously does the most of, trying to get bad papers retracted. They're supposed to like evaporate from the ecosystem, from the academic ecosystem, so that it doesn't pollute it. This is a new study. And no, they just stick around. They call it ghost-like here. What they mean, though, is that people keep citing them. 93.9% of the articles continued receiving citations post-retraction, with 47.86% of citations being neutral and 39.79% carrying a positive tone. So it's not just that they're continuing to be cited, they're being cited as credible bits of literature. Unfortunately, this is why we're supposed to take publication so seriously, because once something gets out there, it's very, very difficult to get rid of it.
Don't let midwits into science.
Indeed.
They love appeal to authority, and if they can find a study that agrees with them, their thinking stops.
Mm-hmm. You have some more articles, right? And then I'll do my water level thing. And then
sure.
That'll be it.
Sure.
We're still got a bit, guys. I held off on the water level thing because although I think it's really interesting and I think it's a strong hook, I am going to have to read about water levels. I have to make a video
it'll probably
about
confuse you. I mean, you'll probably just shut down the moment you examine it.
You know, when I was researching it, I did find that when I first started doing it, I also thought the water level would, like, I just implicitly thought it in my head. But then once I noticed it, it became impossible for me to not notice that it stays parallel, you know? Anyway, so I mean, yeah, I'm a woman, so look, there's proof. You can't call me a troon now. I mean, you can. But
Champ.
Do you have some other articles, though, that you wanted to look at?
Yes. So, you know how Elon bought Twitter?
Elongate, yeah.
He did that. He bought Twitter, and I think it's been for the best. Well, a lot of leftists disagreed because they kind of liked the walled garden feeling that they had, where all their friends, all their journalist friends that no one had ever heard of got verified and no one else did. And regularly, real opinions were being censored. Well, they liked it so much that when Elon bought Twitter, that's when they figured they'd had enough. And they went off and they made Blue Sky. which is the Twitter alternative. So Blue Sky has been sort of up and down. It's not gone, and I do relish the competition. But the competition, the premise here for their competition is essentially, but we want to censor more. we want to have a walled garden of ideological, which is not what Twitter has been under Elon. They censor less, which is perfectly acceptable. The fact that less censorship means more right-wing opinions is a fault of the left. Not to be too political. Either way, Blue Sky has been a bit fraught with issues, and recently there was a incident with Blue Sky, which I have read a little bit about, but I wanted to find out more, and I thought this was a good time to do it.
Let's go. There was a video that was going around Twitter recently of Elon without a shirt on, jumping onto a pig.
Yeah, I believe it. Just in,
look for it.
Blue Sky experiences major outage.
Oh, do you have
dozens of users impacted.
You got it up on your screen.
Aiden, you interrupted the joke.
I did. I forgot you had it up on your thing.
Chat, press 1 to castigate Aiden for just not being
okay,
not being like stream ready.
I am stream ready. I just didn't know. We've not done this before. This is our first time doing this, so it's new.
We've streamed dozens of times before.
We've not done this though, where we switch off on sharing screens. Though
that's true. Well, okay, whatever. Figure it out, woman. Figure it out.
All right, I'm trying.
So,
dozens of users.
Yeah. So this happened.
That's Inevitable Wes. I think he follows me.
Okay. Isn't that an Indian?
Is it the Indian guy?
I can't remember. I know one of them was.
Wait.
Look.
Blair White.
I think he is actually. I think this was the one.
Is this one of the Indians?
He's got the white marble statue and the British and American flags. I think this was one of the Indians actually.
Oh, it probably is because he's got. Look at that. He's got 370,000 followers. It probably is.
It says Anglo, but I think this was one of the ones that was Indian. I'm not sure.
There's so many of these accounts, though. That whatever, the Roman marble statue, you know.
Yeah, but I thought that one was. But I might be wrong.
Probably was then.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't the guy. I thought it was the other.
So Blue Sky is saying actually it's a sophisticated DDoS attack, and there's a team that has taken credit for it, like a hacking team, 313 team.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is also reports. Which one of these is it? That was their thing specifically, but then there's something else I had on it. That allegedly, then this is their post-mortem, where according to the post I had that quoted this, it's because they vibe coded their software and DDoSed themselves. So I figured we'd have a look into it and see if there's any validity to that.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now I'm genuinely curious. Did they DDoS themselves?
So I'll give a brief explanation.
Nachos, you can send Uzalu money. I'll have my thing set up next week, probably.
Yeah.
In the near future. But if you want to send in any super chats, send them to tip.uzalu.net, which is linked.
Aiden and I did talk about how we're going to handle all that, but we didn't talk in great detail about how we'll do it before we're monetized when we're using our original personal donation links. So if anything's contributed,
like a week, dude. it might.
True.
So.
True, but it is important to get it right. So if anyone contributes to me during this show, the contingent on what Aiden wants to do, I'm willing to give her the share of that. Yes.
You can buy me a pizza.
That would make a change.
Yeah.
How about if we just save time and I'll buy myself a pizza, then you don't have to buy it for me.
There you go. but then that ruins the fun for me.
That's true. God, you know what, Aiden? You know what?
I mean, for nachos, right?
Aiden, I'm kind of hungry.
Oh, you fucking God, don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it.
Chat, press 1 if I should don't use my wizard magic to produce a pizza delivery via Aiden. Press 1 if I should do it.
I'm not doing it. I just got back from a month of traveling. I'm a bit broke, bro. You know, like I don't have time to buy. I don't have the excess funds to buy you a pizza, but you're hungry, and so.
Chat, did you hear that? Aiden's lacking in funds. Help us out. You can money. You can satisfy Aiden's need to buy me pizzas by going to her Patreon or Streamlabs.
Yeah, I can't remember the Streamlabs information, unfortunately, so I don't know.
Stream with the enthusiasm.
Jesus.
Well, Chibi seems to think that I should get myself a pizza via Aiden. So that's the thing is I don't really have anything that I could eat. I mean, I do, but let's pretend I don't. I don't have anything that I could eat here, and it's already 10, and I'm here because Aiden asked me to be. I'm here doing this stream, so I won't have time to go to the shop. What am I going to do? It just makes me sad to think about it, to be honest.
You know probably the exact face I'm making, too. Just disgust, contempt.
I tell you what, though, that American burger flavor one was not bad. But you know what? Never mind. I should put it out of my mind.
I also like that cheeseburger one.
I'm never going to taste that again because I can't justify doing that.
No, see, but you're trolling me.
Throw together,
and you're not being serious.
What could I make? Maybe just some dry pasta. I think I have a little pasta left over.
And then if I
a growing
do it,
boy like
then
me needs more than that.
You're tall enough as it. This is the thing, though. You'll fucking troll me like this, try to get me to buy you a pizza, and then you afterwards like, oh, of course I was just trolling. I wasn't hungry at all, and I was perfectly fine. Aiden, stop buying me pizzas. I can't win.
The whole time, after the first or second time, I was trolling you with the intention that you wouldn't buy me a pizza. The whole point was I can get her to do it easily, but don't actually do it. But then you did it every time. Every single time you got me the pizza.
Because you would be like, my tummy hurts. I'm hungry.
My tummy hurts. I'm hungry. Help. Me, Aiden one paladin.
I can't fucking do it. I can't stop. Seize.
Have you already got the Uber Eats app open?
I did, but I closed it.
Do you see what the power I unintentionally wield here, chat?
Well, look. Yeah, because I am a woman, and when somebody is telling me that they're suffering in some way and they're my friend, I want to help them. But you're a fucking asshole, so
bird feeder. By the way, thank you to Nachos, who has contributed and says, Model Alliance strong. Love you, Aiden, heart. Uzalu split this with Aiden after the Jeep takes his cut. Cabal prevails. If it's sent via Stream Elements, the only cut is through PayPal, which I expect is run by a Jeet. Maybe what you meant, but it's a pretty small cut. Unlike on YouTube, where it's 30 goddamn %.
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube cut is repulsive. The 30% hurts. Like when we were doing Bill's Sword Fund, for example, right? Which I still have to calculate. I think we're there, but I think we're about at the Sword Fund being completed. But I need to double check to make sure that we are. So Bill can get his, like, I mean, Spoon and I take money from the streams and stuff because, it's our job. But Bill who is right here grabbing a weed gummy right now, is sorry, I had a little bit of one earlier.
I couldn't tell.
Really? I can't actually. I can't tell.
I could tell.
Really? It doesn't feel like it's affected me at all. Do I seem high? Oh no, now I'm gonna be paranoid about it. Anyway. Oh wait, are you fucking
all of
with
chat
me again?
were looking at you and saying, "Wow, that's a high Aiden right now. That's a high bird. That bird's been on the wrong bird feed."
You know what?
What?
Okay. Yeah, I was about to be like, I'm gonna get you a medium then, but no, here you go.
Oh God, she's actually getting me a pizza.
You said Nachos paid for it.
Nachos did not pay for the pizza. That wasn't for the pizza.
It seemed to be.
She didn't mention it was.
I'm not
Chat, do you see what I have to deal with?
What do you have to deal with? What is so
there's going to be
right now?
a brown coming to my house.
Yeah.
At 10:30 in the evening.
I should wait till it gets a little bit close to the end of the stream. I'll get you a fucking just do the thing that you just did.
I still have one of the pizzas that you left here.
Oh my God. So you've got a pizza. You're doing this, but you have a pizza that I purchased you in your freezer.
Yeah, but they're not as good. Okay, Aiden, think about it this way. If I cook that, I'm going to cut it in half and put it in the air fryer. Do you want that to happen?
Use an oven.
Yeah.
I know. I really don't want you to do awful. I don't want you to commit food crimes, but you can't figure out how to turn the oven on. So,
why would I use the oven if I can do it just as well in the air fryer?
Use the fucking oven because it fits in the oven. It doesn't fit in the air fryer.
Yeah, but I just cook it twice. It's fine. It's quick.
Oh my God.
Let's cook it in 2 batches. You can't eat the whole thing. Well, you probably could, but it starts to get cold as you're eating it. So just cook it in 2 batches.
Oh my god.
By the way,
Oh my
I did mention this
God.
earlier, but just for chat's reference, I do have food. I can make food, no problem.
So you're lying to me.
I did say that earlier.
Emotionally manipulating me.
Well, that's true.
Anyway, where were we at? Oh, you had some. Yes, let's get into this mystery, shall
And
we?
I was trying to talk about real news, but suddenly I'm having pizzas thrown at me.
I'm so hungry.
Bird with feeder
Jesus.
fetish seeks lonely wizard for long-winded scientific topics. Thank you, Wolf.
Fuck. Oh.
I'm being asked why I'm constantly asking for Aiden to order pizza. It's a joke.
It's a joke where he keeps getting pizza out of it.
And
I'm
whose
not
fault
gonna
is
do
that?
it. I'm not gonna do it now that I know you still got a frozen pizza in your fucking freezer.
Yeah, but it's frozen. It's only pepperoni and it's not a stuffed crust. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying buy me a pizza. Just saying it's.
Oh my god! Oh, it's not the cheeseburger stuffed crust.
Chat, can I have
What
some
am I
sympathy
supposed to
here?
do?
Exactly, what am I supposed to do? Yeah. What am I supposed to do with all this food in my cupboards and fridges? Starve?
There's rice in your cabinet that I also purchased. So, I know you didn't use that. So there you go.
She'll condemn me, chat. After I just streamed with her for hours, she'll condemn me to eat dry rice out of the bag. Just think of me. Just think of me sitting here, Aiden, with the bag of dry rice, just like
you have to put
eating
water
it like
in
crisps.
it. I think I also got some rice wine vinegar. Put that in there. Some sugar. Yes, I got sugar and flour. You got sugar, water, flour. You make yourself some bread.
I'm going to go and get the rice
make
now and just start eating it out of the bag. That's what I've been condemned to at this point.
Oh my god, dude! I'm okay. If you keep it up, I'll do it at the end. But I'm trying to get through this fucking thing because if I order it now, then you're gonna have to get up, and then you'll complain about having to get up. Oh, we're in the middle of a stream, and I have to get up and get my pizza. I can't win. I can't win.
Right, but chat can because it's funny.
You win, I think, is what's going on. You win. You get a pizza out of it. And then you get to complain that you never really wanted the pizza in the first place. Let's read this fucking article. Where'd it go?
Anyway, April 2026 outage post-mortem. God, I'm hungry. Hey all, he says. I'm Jim, and I do systemy things at Blue Sky. Have you noticed?
I hate the way they type.
Yeah,
I hate
just the first sentence. Because leftists want to be treated like children.
Yeah, yes. Why everything gotta cost money? Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto.
There's a definite connection there, yes.
Right?
I'm here to imagine like a cartoon mascot with a massive smile, but it's just slightly disturbing.
It's just
I'm here to give you some details about what happened on Monday of this week that caused Blue Sky to go down intermittently for about half of our users for about 8 hours. Damn, it's fucked. First, I'd like to apologize to our users for the interruption in service. This is easily the worst outage we've seen in my time here. It's just not acceptable.
Improve this article by expanding it. Sorry. Fuck Blue Sky, I'm saying.
Second, if you find this work interesting, we're hiring. Do you like my?
I'm sure they are.
Do you like my mascot for children voice that I'm doing for this guy? Does it fit?
I mean, that's how we. I mean, you have to be several registers higher, I'd say. But other than, I mean, the tone is
kids.
Correct. Oh no, God, that's ear raping.
Hey kids, here's the problem.
No, cease immediately. Oh, that's terrible.
Hey kids, our servers did a little fucky wucky.
Did a little fucky wucky and then an oopsie poopsie.
Yeah. Our servers had a big whoopsie and shit in their beds. The issue actually started earlier that weekend. Here's the Blue Sky app views requests chart for the days leading up to the really bad day, Monday.
Dude, it really does this Jim here really does type like he's a like, you know, it's not like a child. It is someone. This is how my mom. I say this with all the love in the world. This is how she talks to her preschoolers. And
by the way,
unfortunately,
Aiden's mum, hop into
preschool
the channel in Cabal.
She's not going to do that. She might type in text if you ask nicely.
So you know she's watching then.
Well,
hello,
actually,
Mrs. Paladin. It's been
well,
too long.
I mean, if you ping her on Discord, because she doesn't really understand how Discord works.
Don't ping her on Discord.
Only if you have something important. She is in Cabal.
And if you go to cuck.shortfatotaku.com, you can join Cabal and ping Aiden's mum. She actually responds quite often.
She does.
Now, if that doesn't entice a few of you in.
Oh my god! But I thought she was a happily married woman, and you wouldn't want to give anyone the wrong idea about my mum, would you?
I'm not that possessive. She can talk to other men. I know that her heart belongs to me, as mine does to her. Here's the link for Aiden's mum, by the way.
Thanks. My god, dude, this stream was going so well. It was relatively professional for you and I talking. I mean, which is unbelievable, honestly, that we made it 2.5 hours.
Chat, press 1 if
it's all gone to shit now.
Press 1 if you like a little bit of bickering mixed in with the professional coverage of science and technology.
If it's you and me, it's inevitable.
True. Get me a pizza.
You read the fucking article and I'll think about it.
Okay, kids, what's next?
No, not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Not like that.
One of you joined for Aiden's mum. By the way,
guys, if you
another submission from a fine member of the community here. There you go.
Do be like that, Mr. Marks.
Why do everything be like costing money? Why things gotta cost honey? Why be everything gotta cost honey? We are pioneering entirely new memes here.
What an adventure.
And it's not even close to over.
Let's keep going.
By the way, chat.
Wait, what does that mean?
Well, because we're planning on doing this again.
Oh, yeah, true.
This is not a one-time thing, chat. The torture never ends.
So basically, right, so I get tortured. I have signed up to torture myself every week. Also, on the topic of cuck.shortfatotaku.com, I do not hang out on my servers. I don't do live streams there because if I'm there, I have to be doing what I'm doing now, which is in presenter mode and barely recognizably professional mode, right? Whereas if I'm in Cabal, I can get drunk or whatever, or just fuck around. So I do hang out Cabal very frequently. So if you do want to talk to me, I'm much, much, much more often there than anywhere else on Discord.
Thank you, Aiden. Yes, as am I. So that's probably a turn-off, actually. I shouldn't have said that.
That you're there? I mean...
Yeah. So Cabal is my community. And there's the link. Many of you are already there. We'll, I will at least head in there after this. Maybe we'll quake some equines.
We did it last time we streamed on here. Yeah, maybe we can quake some equines.
Yeah.
Which sounds perverted, but it is actually incredibly wholesome.
It is very wholesome, yeah. We actually have a custom
PNGs.
A custom version of the equine quaker.
It's PNGs of very poorly drawn facsimiles of horses bouncing around a map until one of them hits the finish line. That's horse bouncing in a nutshell.
It wasn't originally called horse bouncing. That name was given to it by me, I must say.
It's a very zoological stream. We've got chimps, we've got bees, we've got horses.
A lot of bees.
It's a lot of bees. Anyway, what's going on with Blue Sky?
Am I going to have a pizza while I'm commentating horse bouncing?
We'll see how you fucking go, right?
The yellow and green isn't important, kids, but those dips are super nasty.
Oh, super.
Yeah, I only inserted the word kids into that sentence. The rest of it was all as he wrote
I mean, it belongs there.
They represent real user-facing downtime. Ouch.
Oh my God.
I know.
It actually makes me feel, it's Fremsham.
We're being more professional than he is.
Yeah.
And this is written.
Which is really hard to do.
We got a page on Saturday, April 4th. I took a look thinking it was likely a transit issue. We have pretty extensive network monitoring and it all looked clear. Can anyone in the class think of what it could have been? I did, however, that part was added as well, but you can see that on screen, but it probably is hard to tell otherwise. I did, however, notice a spike in log lines that looks like this in our app view data backend called the data plane. So timestamp level error, which is just how likely it needs to be to report, I assume. So usually error is the highest, then warn info debug trace down from there. It depends on the system. Message, just what went wrong. URI. So URI is like a URL, but it can point to more different things. This is a more general version of the same thing. So they're pointing. By the
way, I have this guy on this science and tech stream because he gives all this tech shit that I would have no idea how to read that.
Just doing my best here, despite the fact that I'm very hungry. And then there's an error, a more specific error, I guess, different from the message. So the error there would be a sort of lower level. That's the TCP error. That's interesting that we now know what port they use internally, or I suppose it varies, but it's weird that it's all... okay, address already in use. Okay, that's weird. That shouldn't happen. That's a network configuration issue, most likely.
Yeah.
So what that means is that when you set up a local service that listens to the internet for messages coming in, you have to select a port. And I was talking about this the other day, actually, for the API I was setting up. You may have been there. It has to be unsigned 16-bit, which means that the highest number it can contain is 65,535, I think. So you've got 65,000 port numbers. We ended up going with 42069, or something like that anyway. But when you try and bind to a port, they're all unique. If you try and bind to a port that someone else has already bound, another application's already listening on, you can't. And that's when you get the bind address already in use. So if they're getting that internally, that's a network configuration issue, probably. Maybe there's something else to it, I don't know, but that doesn't seem right.
Unless someone like just taken over their... I mean, I don't understand this, so excuse me if my questions are ignorant.
Maybe there's something else to it, but that is odd.
How would it be like someone just took it out from under them, essentially?
I don't know. It's more likely that in this case, there's too many things hosted. So there's too many instances of the program running, or there's too many things trying to bind to the same port, or they're running things on one node that should be on multiple nodes. Don't know. But interestingly, if you use 0.0.0.0 port 0 as your IP address, then it will figure out the correct IP address and it will figure out a port that you can use and tell you which one it's using. So realistically, a lot of the time, you should just use a dynamic port.
You and I just went through this entire issue with my phone. I thought it was my phone service that was why I kept, like when I first got to England, it was fine. I had internet access, no problem. My phone was working. However, I actually missed my first ferry, in part because the trains were a little bit late, but largely because my phone just stopped being able to get, I could connect to like a Wi-Fi signal, but I had, so something that's static, but I could not get any kind of roaming data whatsoever from anything. And you installed the thing that did that exactly, but set it to like 1111 or whatever. And that did fix it. I had a little bit of outage on the train, but that always happens on the train. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that helped, actually. Yes, so that's the same thing in that it's an IP address, a quartet of numbers denoting an address on the internet. But that was that was DNS. So when I saw that Aiden's phone was having tech issues and looked into it a little bit, I thought, it didn't have much time to think about it either, but my initial read was that's probably a DNS issue. And so I thought you could just, on most Androids, on all of them, you could just put the new DNS server in the settings, but it didn't work for some reason. Her phone didn't allow you to do that.
Some people were gonna get mad at me for having an Android, but those same people, like the same type of person, would get angry at me if I had a fucking Apple product. So
Android
like,
is generally the better choice if you know what you're doing. Apple is if you need your handheld. But yeah,
but
so
I hate the way Apple works.
Yeah.
I hate their. I just
and
don't
they lock you into their
UI
ecosystem
works.
if you start using it.
Yes, I don't like it. Yeah.
So I thought, I'll add 1.1.1.1, which is Cloudflare's DNS server, or I'll add 8.8.8.8 or 8.8.4.4, which are Google's ones, into her phone, and let's see if that fixes the DNS problems. You can't add it, so I figured, okay, I think Cloudflare has an app for this, so I guess you have to use the app. I guess that's how they want you to do it these days. So we got the app, which is the One or Warp Plus or whatever it is. Does some other shit.
Yeah.
I didn't look into it in much detail because we didn't have much time.
It's like a VPN too, I think, or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be cautious using that a free VPN. It's not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, I know. Well, you could always get
it's Cloudflare.
You can
They're
get
not too bad.
If you go to Surfshark VPN, you can get, I believe, like 84% off a 3-year plan. If you use code Aiden.
Does that mean I get half the sponsorship?
No. That sponsorship's ended too, by the way. I'm just still doing it.
How do we handle this, Aiden? Because I refuse to endorse a product that I don't already know is good. And if I'm on the stream...
I use Surfshark VPN.
Yeah, but I don't know it's good.
Right now. Right, it is literally the VPN I use.
Yeah, the whole point is I have to already use it and like it before I sponsor it, because otherwise I would consider it ethically questionable.
I mean, I don't advertise anything I haven't used.
Yeah, but it's on the same stream that I'm on. How do we handle this ethically, chat?
Well, I'm telling you that
either
I
you pay me half,
VPN,
or I have to denounce it in public.
You are not getting half of that contract.
Don't use Surfshark VPN, chat. I hear it steals 100% of your data, and it was Aiden that told me.
Mm-hmm. That was a 4-video contract. They didn't pay me until I finished 4 videos. You're not getting half of that, because that's a significant check, bro.
Well, then
that's really going to cover me going to Shieldings this year.
Let's agree on any sponsorships we do, if we ever do.
It's never come up with me and Spoon, because we don't get. I mean, I just don't take sponsorships on the podcast, except for Dragon's Treasure Tea, which is your source for all things anime and gaming.
I'll have half of that contract as well, please. Thank you very much. I assume that most of the time you're not able to deliberate with Spoon on how that should be handled because he's asleep.
Spoon and I just never talked. Well, yeah, we just never talked about it. We've just not bothered taking any. Wait, I mean, again, the point, like the thing about live streams, even though, yeah, as I said, it's not turned on today, although you can tip Uzalu if for some reason you want to give him money to buy him a pizza or something. Because the stream's paid for by super chats. I've never really understood streamers who take sponsorships for streams. The stream is paid for by the audience, typically. And if they're not paying for it, then step up, senpai. You know, get good. I don't know. Well, that's just my opinion.
You don't have to call me that in public. Anyway. Hey kids, welcome back. The timing of these log spikes lined up with drops in user-facing traffic, which makes sense. Our data plane heavily uses memcached to keep load off our main Scylla database. And if we're exhausting ports, that's a huge problem. Exhausting? Are you telling me that you used up all 65,000 ports just for instances of caching? That's crazy. that's kind of crazy.
Is their cache just totally backed up then? Like it's all gunked up.
It sounds like what they're doing is they're like starting a new instance of the cache multiple times until they've used up all the ports on the system, so that they can no longer bind to any. Which is crazy. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, the root cause.
Leftist coding. I don't know, man.
Maybe. It took a long time to find the actual issue due to subpar observability. We generally have excellent monitoring in the data plane, but it does assume that each request to it is small and doesn't do much work. Much like your wife.
I do want to strangle this guy for the way he writes. Ugh.
Yeah. This particular RPC, get post record, takes a batch of post URIs and looks them all up in memcached, then Scylla upon cache miss. So Scylla, I assume, is their actual database, and then memcached is just a front end to it that is much quicker to access, which is odd because
it's all
if you're using a database, then the disk is caching it anyway. But I guess that's not quite as good. What I had missed is that we deployed a new internal service last week that sent less than 3 get post record requests per second, but it did sometimes send batches of 15 to 20,000 URIs at a time.
I mean, just a little error.
Yeah. Typically, we'd probably be doing about 1 to 50 post lookups per request. You didn't build it for that kind of scale, did you guys?
No, clearly not.
Every RPC handler in the data plane does the bounded concurrency. Okay. However, this endpoint did not. It was the only endpoint in the entire system that was missing it. How is the one where it's the most important the only one where it was missing?
X. I'm pressing hard X to doubt on that. It's the only one that's fucked up like this. Yeah.
They're using Go.
Is it the one you need? The one you need? Or is this all vibe coded, by the way?
Well, that's what the allegation was. That means we'd launched 15 to 20,000 Go routines for the request, slam the daylights out of memcached by dialing a ton of connections, then close and return them to the OS since our max idle connection pool size was 1,000. They would build up in the TCP time wait state and exhaust all available ports. That's crazy. So they're starting for every single request they're trying to make. That's going through
someone just trying to like load the
port.
website, right? Yeah.
And they have a. So I say that might not even be the bottleneck, even though that was the error. They're starting up 15 to 20,000 Go routines. Now, a Go routine is much like a green thread or I think a coroutine. Go routine, coroutine. Green thread. Well, okay, there's a difference between an OS thread, which is the operating system launches a little program for you that runs and you can get stuff out of it. So you can do multi-processor stuff where stuff can run in parallel on multiple processors at the same time, and then you can get the results during or at the end. And there's many complications in how you do that because you've got to lock certain bits of data because some operations can get confused with multiple data coming in at the same time. But you're going to be very careful with that so that it's very carefully managed. But an OS thread, an operating system level thread, is much heavier than putting one within your application. So for Rust, which is what I use, there's a tool called Tokyo, which handles that for you. You tell it, hey, run this code, but run it sort of parallel or concurrently, which are similar concepts to the rest of my code, and it will handle it. Sometimes it will use a new OS thread for that. Sometimes it'll have a few ready to go and it will just send it over. But sometimes it just interleaves work on different tasks on the same single main thread. Either way, it allows you to do multiple things at once. With a Go routine, I haven't used Go very much, but I think it works the same way in that they are quote unquote green threads where they can spread across the processors a bit, but they also like interleave work on each processor. So, but 15 to 20,000 is too many.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Sounds like it. Yeah,
that's a lot. You would, if you've got 15 to 20,000 things to look up, probably that should be somewhat serialized, or it should be spread across a network. I mean, it's not undoable, but it's if you're doing that regularly, if you're doing it often, it's too much of one type of thing at once, or at least it feels like it would be. They were expecting 1 to 50, and they built their system to assume that. But why was it doing 50 to 20,000? Who in the company thought that was a good idea?
No idea. Again, so is it vibe coded? I mean, it's just like they just don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Oh, I don't know. Slam the daylights out of the memcache by dialing a ton of connections. So memcached, I assume then, is hosting a server, which is providing these. So that the bottleneck might not even have been the RAM. It may have been the network. I mean, I'm guessing there was a serialization, deserialization step, which is probably longer than the lookup. They would build up in the TCP time wait state and exhaust all available ports. Yeah, so it would take longer to return one result than it would take for the next request to be added. So it gets to its limit, and then it just fails. It just stops returning things. It just gives up because the queue is full. And then the Go code looks like this. Post records, post and error. So I'm not very good with Go, but I'll have a look, see if I can figure it out. They missed a set limit for the group. They should have added, apparently, which I guess that would have split it up. So if you got 15 to 20,000, it would just send it in 50 item batches, which would be way more sensible. Because that's what I was saying before. You've got to partially serialize the queue rather than just do it all blasted all at once.
Yeah.
Okay, so memcache.getPost. So you start start with doing it through the memory, and then you do it through the actual database if it's not available there. So if error is not equal to nil, return error, because that means there's an error. If post is not equal to nil, which means that there is a post, you would add it to the list, and then return. Oh, from the Go routine. So So they've just assumed here that they don't have too many posts. But if you passed in 15 to 20, say, then it's going to
probably a
spawn,
safe assumption.
Yeah, it's going to spawn this Go here, which makes a new little thread that many times. But if you just by chance, if someone's added in thousands instead, then suddenly you're going to spawn a new green thread thousands of times, and each one of them at the same time makes a request from the cache over the network.
Again, it's blue sky, so I'm in no way surprised by this, but still very funny.
Youch, he says. Youch. Yikes, guys! That's a big yikes from me.
That's a big yikes from me, hombre.
Youch! We saw pretty much right away that we were exhausting ports, but had no idea what the root cause was. There are lots of places where we use memcached, and I specifically pulled out that one JSON log line because it specifies that it was an issue with the post cache. We have our user cache, interaction counts cache, and many more. We saw error logs from all cache types, which makes sense since all memcached behavior was impacted. So it was not at all clear right away that it was an issue with get post record. Also note that the new internal service runs in only one of our data centers at present, which is why we only saw that site having issues. That definitely contributed to the confusion since we didn't have metrics per client in the data plane. He says, Death Spiral, we didn't find and fix this issue until Wednesday of this week, even though service was stabilized on Monday. So what do we do in the meantime to stop the bleeding? He says, I spent most of Saturday and Sunday chasing this down and still not finding the root cause, and service was hobbling along poorly but surviving. Then Monday, something tripped. It turns out that we put ourselves in a death spiral. This negative feedback loop is what caused the massive outages on Monday. It turns out whenever we get the error from memcache, we log it. We do a couple million requests a second to our memcached instances, and so we were attempting to do millions of logs per second. Okay, it's not necessarily a good idea to log when there's a cache miss. That seems a bit anal.
Look at it. Oh, I mean, I guess. But obviously this ended up being a catastrophe.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got the infrastructure for it, you probably should log it. But if you don't, that's a lot. But let's see what they say. Logging in Go uses the blocking right to syscall. This huge number of blocking syscalls coupled with our attempt to continue to serve millions of requests a second caused the Go runtime to spawn many more OS threads, M's in Go's parlance. It was roughly 10 times more M's than compared to the healthy baseline. Okay, so if you need to write to disk, I think it will at some point end up being a blocking call, which means that the thread that's writing it can't do anything else while it's writing it. So if every single time you miss cache, you're writing a log to say, hey, by the way, I missed the cache, that's going to lock up a lot of threads if you've sent the log the log requests on all those threads. So again, 15 to 50 messages, whatever it said that they said they were doing, at a time wouldn't be too bad. It's at least split up a bit, but you get bursts like this, and it's going to exhaust the queue. The problem isn't necessarily the overall volume; it's just the rate and the bursts. At the burst, because it fills up the queue, it can't deal with it. So if you spread that burst out over time instead, it would deal with it much better. There's a spike.
You can say so.
Oh, and the thing is, Go is garbage collected, which means that it occasionally needs to stop the entire program from running to clear its memory that it doesn't need anymore. Which Go is very efficient at doing this. JavaScript is also garbage collected, and Go is a bit more efficient than JavaScript at it. But it still needs to stop the entire program, pause it for a second, and then, which is why if you're running a software and it seems to every 5 to 10 seconds have a brief pause and then continue, that's almost certainly garbage collection. It's a very distinctive pattern. So those massive pauses in stop the world GC duration meant requests were stalling, it says. So if you're, there was a story from Discord actually, where they switched over from using Go to using Rust. Now I'm an advocate for Rust, but Go and Rust are both fine. But the main difference between them, or one of the main differences, is that Rust is not garbage collected, while Go is. With Rust, you do a bit more work up front in how you write it. Unlike in C, where it's very manual, we have to do everything manually with memory.
Right.
In Rust, it does a lot of things for you. It's a little bit complicated to explain. It's called a borrow check. It does a lot of things for you which make it practically impossible to waste memory. But you have to sort of adopt its way of understanding memory and writing the code in the first place for that to work, which is not too difficult. I got used to it, and it's definitely worth it. But it gets the speed advantages of the manual memory management with the convenience almost of a garbage collected language, and you don't get those stop the world pauses. Discord was experiencing big problems in their system because they were using Go, and they were noticing lag spikes which were blatantly stop the world pauses. They switched over to Rust, and there's some contention about whether this was the only thing that made the difference. Maybe the coding was different, like significantly different either way, but it did solve that problem, and it reduced memory usage, reduced CPU usage, because Rust is just more efficient than Go overall, but Go is generally more convenient. So same thing here, I expect. They were in a situation where the garbage collection pauses were too much. Just couple that with the fact that that we had some very aggressively tuned GOGC and GoMem limit. Those are Go terms. I'm not sure exactly what they mean, but I guess they're about garbage collection. Environment variable values and memory limits meant that our data plane was actually ooming every so often, so out of memory. So it was actually filling up its entire RAM and had to wait. That's why the service was working for like 30 minutes, then down for a while, then we'll come back up for a bit and repeat. Yeah, that kind of pattern would make me think it's a memory issue. Not always, but it's a scaling thing, not something you'd see until you get thousands of simultaneous requests as programmer inexperience. Sure, yeah. But it's something that you could at least have an intuition to foresee.
Well, I do think that programmer inexperience, what does that mean, though?
Well, inexperience in building big systems.
Maybe. I just
there
get
are many differences.
Knowing it's blue sky of all things. I get nervous about everything being vibe coded or AI coded now anyway.
We'll find
but
out. They might mention it. NJ in chat says cache misses are not the common scenario, but shouldn't be exceptional enough to be worth logging. That's what I thought. It's sort of, if you're a big enough company and if you've solved everything else, then maybe you'd start. But I wouldn't log it at first. No. It's an expected event anyway. At some point, you expect to miss cache and go down below that. If you want analytics, maybe, but then maybe I'd, I don't know, compact the data or save it less regularly. Not sure. Ooms are obviously bad, they say. We should have 0 of them, but they're ordinarily not that big a deal. However, the fact that the memcached connection pools were already saturated meant that when the data plane was restarted, it couldn't create new memcached connections when it came up, since those existing connections were stuck in time wait, which resulted in even more port exhaustion issues, death spiral. The Band-Aid fix was insane, but did the job. This is how we actually fixed the outage on Monday before we found the true root cause. So what does that do? It is randomizing the IP. So 127, and then it's randomizing the rest of the address. Local address, IP, and then that one. Context. It's just randomizing the address. So it's binding it to a different local address under 127 every time. That got us out of the death loop because it expands the client and IP port space, crazy but effective. We removed this once we fixed the true root. I mean, fair enough. You just give yourself more space to load more ports. That'd do it. It's a kind of dumb fix, but I wonder how they were. Yeah. I wonder how they were addressing it then, because what they would do before is 127.0.0.1 is the IP, and then the port they've got 65,000 to choose from, so that should be enough. But then if they're filling up that list, might as well use those 001, which can go up to 255, and do something with them, and just bind to those IP. Now, I've never actually done that. I didn't know you could do that. That's interesting. But I wonder how they were keeping whatever was connected to this bound into it. Like, how does it know it's there? They might have had something which... I
have no idea about that, yeah.
Returned this and then sent it back to whatever needed to know the service was there. But that wouldn't be trivial. That got us out of the death loop because it expands the client IP port space, crazy but effective. He says, in my recent talk, I mentioned that you should add extensive observability before you have an outage. We do have a lot, but it's never enough. We need to add per client 011Y. I'm actually not sure what that one means. It's much like internationalization is a term that's often abbreviated as I18N. 011Y observability, I assume, as well as get better metrics on when clients send small numbers of large requests. It was all buried in there, but it was hard to know where to look when so much was falling over all at once. You need to have the mental discipline and high granularity in your metrics to be able to cut through the noise and find the real root cause. It's hard work, and it is. But at the same time, this is the kind of thing you probably should just solve at the start. If you have built something that's not bounded, you always have to think about that. You always have to think about, but what if there's a lot? Like when I'm making code, I don't always plan ahead for it because I know that I'm not going to be serving millions of requests or customers or whatever.
But that is what would anticipate to be doing. I mean, I get that too. But you would think, hey, we're gonna start a social media site. We're gonna start a social media site specifically for leftoids who are tired of Twitter because Twitter's stinky. So and there's so many of you, right? There's millions and millions of you. You're the majority in America, for example, right? Like they are population-wise the majority, people who lean to the left, Democrats. So you would think, just inherently, you would plan for having a lot of people using the site, unless it's essentially, I don't know, unless they're either retarded or they didn't actually think anyone would use it.
Well, the thing is, it's not, this is a specific part of the chain. It's not that their infrastructure couldn't handle a lot of requests. It's that this specific part of the chain couldn't handle extremely bursty requests. So it's not the kind of thing you would necessarily
too. You wouldn't necessarily see it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But you might, if you've got something where there's an inherent bound and you don't bound it, you probably should just have a little queue or a buffer that you put it into before you send it off. And that would have solved this.
Yeah. But again, maybe
I could understand
they couldn't have foreseen it. Yeah.
Complex. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's so funny that it's just a funny story that Blue Sky went down, and I can't believe the way that guy writes.
Yeah. It says the status page says this is an issue with a third-party provider.
He made Reddit edit things. Oh, thanks for the gold.
Thanks for the gold, kind Redditors. Yeah.
kind Redditor.
He says it was. They initially apparently blamed someone else. But then he says it was clearly not. Apologies for that miscommunication. Why? Okay, what I want to know is what part of your system? No, what part of your system was generating when you expected 5 to 50 requests in message IDs in a request? What in your system was generating 25 to 30,000 in a single request?
Seems there's some massive fucking inefficiency problems in general. If they weren't immediately tipped off, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
well, that's the kind of thing. Again, like what I was talking about just now, where you should add a buffer to that. Sure, you should, but it indicates and that's something you should do just as a safeguard for potential in future issues. But still, the issue itself doesn't make much sense. That implies a design issue. What in the system was generating that many requests? Or one request, but that many items in the request. That's crazy.
Idea, but yeah, I think maybe they'll look into it now. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but what user action could possibly require you to look up 25 to 30,000 meta? Maybe a search. You need to retrieve them all from cache and then go through them. But that's really basic. You should have that sorted out. That's one of the first things you should figure out with a social media site. You can search for posts.
I wouldn't be surprised though that
it's got to be some like esoteric feature that requires a fuckload of posts being scanned, and someone on the front end was just like, the back end will handle it. We'll just send a trillion posts at once and see what they do with it, see what they give us back.
I mean, I don't know. I search shit on Twitter all the time, and it doesn't break the website. Which it has to go through millions of posts.
Front end devs, guys, like kids in a candy store where every piece of candy is an explosive. At the time I posted that status update, I was looking at some trace routes that indicated some pretty substantial packet loss from a cloud provider to our data center, but those were not the root cause of the issue. Edit. Whoa, Lauren Hochstein wrote an absolutely fantastic follow-up blog that goes super in-depth into many of the technical details I skimmed over in this post. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then everyone clapped.
Bro. Oh my God. Wow, how insufferable. It's just funny. It's funny. I mean, look, I agree with you. In that, like, Twitter got a lot better after Elon bought it. It also got worse in some ways because, trust me, I like getting money from Twitter every month. It's essentially free money to shitpost. But as that has also recently come out, it's been an issue with some creators, like your what was that guy? I just saw him too. L something. A bunch of people who were essentially made it their entire grift to just post slop on Twitter. Now they've changed that too. But I can say, and even though I've had problems with Twitter going down and stuff in the past, I've never seen fucking anything like this. I also don't know if Elon would be honest about it if it did. Something this stupid did happen.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this actually makes more sense. This other blog that he linked to.
Okay.
It wasn't what I thought is what he initially thought as well, that it was trying to listen on a port that was in use, and they just spawned all these memory cache instances and just gone through the entire 65,000 instances. But no, it's way simpler than that, or way more explicable than that. Whenever a request is being made, the request comes in. Were they taking every single post ID and making that an individual request to memcached? That would do it. That would fucking do it. Because what it's doing is it takes from a range when it's trying to assign a port for a connection. I think it takes from a more limited range, maybe only about 1,000. They mentioned before 1,000. So that would get filled up instantly with that many requests. And they just wouldn't have any more to bind to.
Right. Okay. That is kind of what I expected was going on. In my, you understand, I'm trying to like translate this through my social scientist brain filter into something that makes sense to me.
It's just surprising to me that the memcache database that they're accessing, it can't do multiple requests at once. It has to do one request at a time. Maybe that's how it's designed. It is a cache after all, but then this would happen. If you make enough requests at once, this will just happen.
Yeah.
I haven't used memcached specifically. That's
pretty fucked though.
Oh, Nachos hasn't used memcached either. Okay, understood.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure that's what she meant though. But yeah, that's silly. The thing is,
what are next, or shall I move on to the?
Well, I'm going to try and find out where these claims, just quickly, of vibe coding came from. So they did this announcement. The application has remained stable since approximately 9 p.m. April 16th, despite ongoing distributed denial of service attacks. So this is, I think, a few days later. So this one that we just read,
I think it came from early in this article where he said it was inexperienced. I think that's where the claim, if people are reading this and claiming vibe coding, I think it's from that line of saying our coders are inexperienced with it, which is not in any way sane. He did say something about inexperienced, did he not?
Chat did. He didn't.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
So I think it may be two different incidents then. I assume that they were connected, but I think they're separate. So this is 17. This is
are
2
they
days
really
ago.
separate though?
Well, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
And then this one was the 10th. So they may have assumed it was the same until they figured out what went wrong with this. So April the 10th is after it was fixed. But then they started getting DDoSed anyway, and it's been claimed by some team who's written in fucking Arabic. The Islamic cyber resistance in Iraq apparently did this, and they've claimed it themselves. So Blue Sky is being hammered right now by, one, their own code, and two, Iraq.
Yeah, that's Iraq, not Iran. Islamic cyber
Iran's
resistance.
a bit busy right now.
Yeah, they're a bit busy. Too busy to attack.
There was this post from Hacker News from 2 days ago, which says the prevalent discourse and attempt at a meme, but people are taking it seriously, saying Blue Sky is down because of AI vibe coding, is starting to get annoying and unoriginal. Even when Blue Sky confirmed it's a DDoS, the line is now maybe they wouldn't have got DDoSed if they didn't vibe code and their code was better.
No, but again, now we've seen the sequence of events here. This happened first, then they got DDoSed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because you put out a weird Reddit article like that. We're like, hello, hey friends. And we're like, whoop, we did an oopsie poopsie in our Cody Wody. And then you got DDoSed. Yeah, like, we don't even really know
these guys are amateurs. Let's give it a go.
Exactly, right? Of like, holy fuck, their code's warped. Well, let's just fuck with them a bit,
Let's see if there's anything on it being vibe coded. That is not the same thing at all.
I think it's a
Vercel
vibe.
breach,
They're
that's
vibe
totally
coded.
different. Blue Sky, vibe coded DDoS. I couldn't find anything about this when I was looking at it before stream, which is odd. I haven't seen anyone actually talking about this. This is Vercel. That's completely different. It's not what I'm looking for at all.
No.
That's the thing about
It's
Blue
just
Sky.
that same thing, yeah.
Heavily active.
This is,
That's really different. Thanks, Twitter search. The first cell is completely different. Latest posts. Oh, thanks, Twitter. Yeah, so I'm not sure. All I was looking for there is anyone actually calling it, like saying it's because it's vibe coded, but I couldn't see anything about it.
I think it's worthwhile speculation. It also is very clear now that again they did fuck up in their code. They released a blog post about it, and then clearly people who pay attention to such things went, "Oh wow, this website has got problems with it. Let's fuck with it a bit."
The problem, okay,
so that would follow to me logically.
This is where we diverge from the demagoguery that some people are usually asleep for. I'm going to defend Blue Sky because
I figured you were about to do that. By the way,
from what I read in that article, despite the fact that it was written very poorly, the technical side of it was written okay. And this article, if I went through it, I expect I'd understand it a lot better because this guy actually seems to do a better job. It doesn't look like this is the kind of issue that you would necessarily expect from vibe coding, maybe, but you wouldn't need to use that to explain it. It's the kind of thing which, as was being said in chat as well, it's kind of on the border there between I can understand missing this and not thinking of it.
Yeah.
So I suspect this was simple, explicable human error, and then it was a difficult problem to track down. But they did track it down, and then someone looked at it and thought, wow, that code sucks. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. I agree. I think that probably is the most logical explanation, the Occam's razor on it. What are next?
Well,
and then I'll talk about my liquids.
I have one other story. Do you want to do liquids last, or do you want to do liquids next?
I was gonna say. Well, I was gonna save the shape rotation stuff because I am gonna do a video on it, but I didn't want to. It's the thumbnail. First of all, I didn't also know what to do for the thumbnail.
No, it's fair.
Maybe we'll come up maybe with like something we just use every week. Essentially,
one thing we should do is have us a brainstorm with chat for a name of the show.
Well, I did mention in the beginning.
Yeah.
I did mention in the beginning, but if anyone's got an idea, we're more than open to hearing it.
Yeah.
This is fine. It's
I'd personally be happy
to
put credit for whoever comes up with the winning idea in the description permanently. That's up to you, though, Aiden. That's your channel. The way we're doing it, for people that don't know, is that I'm streaming it. Aiden is having it on her channel, and then we're both sort of alternating as main host.
Yeah. You're obviously handling more of the tech stuff. I'm going to handle more of the sciencey stuff. But we both have a shared interest. I mean, like in tech and science, so it seemed to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good balance. I feel like maybe I don't know what the chat thinks about this, but I feel like with the coding stuff, I may have gone a little bit more into the weeds than is sensible for a public show, and maybe with some of the science you did too. I'm not sure.
Probably. It's the first time we streamed a little bit before, but we've obviously streamed together for years, but on politics stuff. It's something to figure out. I got to figure out how to rein in my autism. You probably have to figure out how to rein in yours as well to make it more maximally entertaining.
By the way, chat, I don't know why she still hasn't noticed, but it's been there for ages now.
What are you talking about? What has been where for ages? I'm looking all over the screen. I have no idea what you're talking. You're fucking trolling me. Oh, never mind. I see it. A, B, 10. It's not even any good. It's not even a good pun.
Well, it was Wolf's idea, so if it's not good, it was him.
Wolf, it wasn't a good idea. It's not even, it's got to be clever. I mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have any B's in my name,
Yeah, it's a shame it doesn't fit. Avian Peregrine was genius, and I'm taking credit for that one. But
Avian Peregrine was good. I don't know how you get B.
Apiary Paladin.
Okay, there you go. Apiary Paladin.
And it fits with the story we had earlier with apes. It's perfect.
I mean, it's spelled a bit different.
Sure is.
All right, what else you got before I get into my liquid rotation? You've heard of a blunt rotation?
You get on one stream with a woman and suddenly she's rotating her liquids all over the place.
Yeah, on your floor. The liquid is vomit.
Well, I hope it is. I mean, I don't know. Would that be better or worse? Let's not talk about it.
Well, that's
That's a story for another time. But yeah, chat, if you have any suggestions for the name, we both really appreciate it. There's some good suggestions in chat right now, but we're looking for something that really fits. And I think having bees in the name is not a great idea because that is a meme that will not stand the test.
It won't.
Test of time.
I'll always find bees hilarious, but it wouldn't quite.
The
make
relevance
sense.
will not last. No.
Yeah.
I was thinking that because a Sibyl and a wizard are both some kind of like wise person or oracle or something magic associated. Yeah. That we could do something with that. That oracle maybe is a word that could cover both of those. And because also Sibyl is in Faulty Towers, a show that we both like. Yeah. And Towers has some sort of wizard connection.
Wizards live in towers, yes.
Yeah. The Oracle Towers was one I thought of. Yeah. But it's a bit blatant. Like,
I don't know.
Straightforward. It's not very interesting. But it does fit sort of. Currently it's just Wizard and Sibyl, which is definitely a working title. I would like to replace it.
Yeah. It is, like I said, it's working as well. But, you know, we've got some time we've got a week now to... I've done 3 streams in a row. It has been 3 streams, 3 channels, 3 days. And I was not firing on all, thrusters. I didn't have both my, I can't even say it now.
You know what would help me to fire on all cylinders?
My let me get through my liquid rotation and then, okay.
Well, do you want me to do my final story? I mean, we're already 3.25 hours in. We could skip it and just go to liquid rotation.
Okay, let's just do the liquid rotation stuff then, if you don't mind.
Sure. The other story I have is not critical, and we could save it for next time.
Sounds perfect, because this stuff too, like, it's not going to be breaking news every week. It's going to be just, I think, stuff that you and I find interesting.
Yeah. Usually it'll be from the last week, I expect, because it's a weekly thing.
In the last recent time. This is my.
I'm going to go.
This is my actual document.
I'll be right back. But you take it away.
All right. This will. I don't know if I'm going to publish this on the Substack. I might. We'll see about. But this is the seminal paper on it. I'll just have it here on the stream while I kind of read through this a little bit. Did I just click away from it? No, I didn't. I'm going to skip down here to the water rotations, the mental rotation section, because this is the part that, like I said, a couple of months ago, and this has been happening. You see, this paper is published in 1971. That's not when it started. The first seminal paper on this is 1958, I think. It's Rebelsky. Where's Rebelsky? I know this because I had to actually dig quite deeply into confirm that this was the seminal citation on it. The reason why it was difficult, or why I so much wanted to get into who was the seminal on this water level stuff, and you'll see actually right here, sorry, it was on the page, I didn't see it, Rebelsky 1964. And we'll just read the start here, and it'll explain why this 1964 paper, which is not available online, I would have had to have sent into a university to have it physically shipped if I wanted to read it myself. I did eventually get it. No, I did get it. I actually did. I thought I was going to have to do that, but I was able to find this initial citation. I got very skeptical because when I started to look into this mental rotation stuff, which again is that women make a lot of errors when it comes to, are you able to mentally rotate a glass in your head and imagine how the water would sit? Now, again, the water will always sit parallel to the gravitational pull, which is the Earth. So wherever the ground is where the water is going to sit parallel to it, right? So when I first started to look into this stuff, I went to the Wikipedia page because all these women online were like, oh, this is all fake. The research is bad. It's shitty. Well, ladies, the person who first identified this phenomenon, this Rebelsky person, I'm going to go down here. It might have the full citation, does it? No, F. This is a woman. Okay. The first person who identified this is a woman, Frida Rebelsky, who identified this in 1964. So any ladies who are upset and think this is sexist or something, whoopsie doopsie, a woman found it. I started to look into this because on the Wikipedia article, it cites this over and over again, and all these papers cite it, but I couldn't find the paper, and I started to get concerned that she was not the original source, and that this was being attributed to a woman falsely, to be like, oh, look, it's okay that women have this problem because a woman discovered it. No, this really is the seminal citation that I confirmed it beyond a reason of a doubt, because in part, I also wanted Wikipedia to be wrong, just because I wanted Wikipedia to be wrong, because that would be funny to me. It's not, however, it is correct. It took a bit of digging to find it. I had to put in a request, and so I have mutual aid network for it, but I got it. And this is what the Rebelsky 64 paper is. Presented 128 graduates and undergraduates at Boston University with 4 drawings of glasses of water at different angles of tilt. They were let me see, is the picture in here? They don't have the picture in this paper. This was kind of ignored. It was very, very big in the 1970s and the 1960s, this area of research. And then it went away for some reason. I wonder why. Could it be because it's very socially inconvenient? Water level tasks. You'll find it here. These are the images, this specifically, or a variation of this. There's one here that I actually know the paper from it, because they did a very complex version. And actually, you can see here, they found the same results in this paper. This is, Voss and Kant. So it's not just this. And what it is that about a third of women don't know the way that the water is supposed to sit in this. Let me do this. Here we go. And there's been more extreme examples of it, but obviously, okay, so A, B, C, D. D is the correct answer. How the fuck do you get to E? Ladies. That one's confusing. It's 23%. It's not a third. Okay, it's 11% of men compared to 23% of women selected answers that were more than. This is not just got it wrong, by the way. So it's a significant amount of women get it wrong, but 23% of women on average in these tests, and this is from the Rebelsky one, 23% got it more than 100 degrees wrong. Remember this one here, one to the left of the far right, is the correct answer. More than 100 degrees incorrect from this. 11% of men, 23% of women did that. And I could talk about this later, but this paper is also in my research. And as it turns out, it doesn't. A lot of scholars then spent years trying to figure out why is it that women can't figure this out. I'm gonna leave that up because that graph.
Forgive me for challenging the whole premise here, but 11, given that men and women are different, a difference of 11 to 23%, it's about what I would have guessed. It's not huge.
It's twice as much, though.
It is. But when women do have somewhat worse spatial reasoning than men, if it was 50 to 5, that would be huge. But 23 to 11 is probably about what I would have guessed.
I mean, it's what you would guess as somebody who understands that men and women are different. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what it points to, and why it's interesting, is that it's a fundamental difference on average in the way that men and women process something that should be so simple to understand. How do you fuck this up? Where you were going for a second, my question is, how do you select E? how do you select the fifth one here and think that's right?
Isn't
You know
that
what I mean?
if you believe that it's 2D, like this is something you mentioned earlier.
Right, if you think it's a sticker,
if
you think it's a sticker.
Yes, if it wasn't communicated to them
hell.
properly, which I'm sure some studies that have tried to examine this have not really completely communicated. No, this is a 3D object in 3D space. This picture is just representing it.
Right.
But that's an extra layer of abstraction that if your IQ is low enough, perhaps you do know the correct answer, but you're not really gelling with the conscious work you need to do to figure out what the test means. So you might think, oh yeah, if you just rotate this image that much, it would look like this image. But it's not an image, it's representing a bottle. So you're going to be really specific with that, but you did specify earlier, which is good that you did, that no, they've done plenty of these where they've made damn sure that the people know what is going on. They've done 3D representations, they've done all kinds of stuff, so it's unambiguous. About
that stuff now, and to evidence the incredible consistency of this effect, what paper is on screen now is 1971 from Morris. He asked American college students to draw the correct water line, so they got to draw it in a series of tilted containers. Some participants were given an additional cue, a horizontal reference line beneath the image, but this made no difference. Women made significantly larger errors than did men. Similar results appeared in this paper, which I'll move it over here. This is Libin and Goldbeck. This is a little bit later. This is 1980. Tested students from grades 5 through 11. And this is the thing that becomes interesting with this, is that if you wanted to make the argument that like, oh, it's because women are told they're bad at math or something, and therefore they just can't process something obvious, right? I mean, you know the kind of general feminist shitty kind of critique, blank slate stuff that would have made, this is why this disappeared from the literature for a couple of decades, why they just stopped studying it. I mean, they didn't. They started to use other methods and measures of studying spatial cognition because this made women so upset that this is just reality, right? This is Libin and Goldbeck again. And these are children, grades 5 through 11. So that's, ages on that. Grade 5, it's like 10 through 17 years old. Giving some physical demonstration. So they showed them physically, they tilted a glass in front of them, while others, they only gave the drawing beforehand. In other words, some participants had just seen the correct answer before taking the test. Even so, boys performed significantly better than girls in the physical demonstration condition, but not in the drawing one, which was interesting. That time, girls on the drawing thing that supposedly girls think it's a sticker, and that's why they get confused by it. In this particular one of adolescents, women performed about the same as men.
Maybe it's maybe women do have the ability to simulate it. They're just not bothering initially. Maybe it's more of an overconfidence question than maybe the men were more humble in figuring that they would have to simulate it mentally. Women just assume
that. Wait a minute. I didn't consider that.
Because if they're drawing it properly, then they can simulate. But that's time. They've got more time to think about it. So maybe they have to.
It's the fact that when girls saw it, they performed worse is the disconcerting part, because normally, like when you talk about any sort of conversation about this research, it's like it's a miscommunication via the drawings. Pretty much, that's all that's happening here. Women are understanding it differently. They think it's in motion, or they think it's a rotatable sticker of a flat.
I think you're rotating the entire Earth with it.
I don't know. It's something else, right?
But you could just rotate your perspective, then they'd be correct.
That's kind of the thought process behind a lot of the code.
Yeah.
However, again, in that Libin and Goldbeck study, they found that it wasn't in with the drawings. It was only in real life after they saw. And then they were like, here, I'm showing you a glass and I'm tilting it. Can you now draw how the water will sit? And then they fucked up. This is a Warrior and Breeden here, is it not? Yes. This is not the right paper. No, it is Warrior and Breeden, right. 1995, so now we're many years out. The original paper is 1964. So we're now 30 years out of the original paper. This is a large body of work had been accumulated by this point. This is a meta-analysis. And they found that sex differences observed in spatial cognition tasks, including the water level test, were so statistically robust. Listen to this shit. These findings over the 30 years of collecting data on this were so statistically robust that it would take 178,000 null results to overturn them. Just finding nothing. Not finding in the opposite direction, but finding nothing whatsoever. 178,000 reconductions of this research would need to have been completed 30 years after the initial finding to say it's not consistent, that women are about twice as likely as men to fail this test. Now, again, right, the numbers are low. It's 11 and 23, but 11% and 23%. But that is a consistent difference. And again, it is double that of men.
Mm.
Women are literally twice as likely to fail this test.
Well, not just fail. I mean, the 11 and 23 was to fail very badly. What is
significant?
The rates for actual success versus failure?
The ones I have, all the data I collected were for the severe failures, which is what they consider it. Like if you're a little bit off, a lot of times the reason, particularly in these old studies too, you have to contend with the fact that like these people were drawing on paper, and there's a possibility that did they mean to draw a straight line, or was it like a little bit wonky? Yeah. So there is some stuff in there that kind of gives it away, and it's within the margins of error. But 100 degrees off, yeah, we're real confident you didn't think that's how water sits in a glass, right?
There's a few interesting things in chat though. Viscosity is being mentioned, but I think it was specified that it's water, which has a very low viscosity. But you're right,
it's always
in terms of viscosity in general, which is why I would say that, well, actually, if you turn the bottle, it doesn't immediately make that pattern, but it converges towards that pattern, and you'd have to specify that, which would be a bit unclear. So you'd be careful how you present that, but you can control that sufficiently so that people find it clear. There's also the liquid is wrong. This is kind of what I mean with the women answering that question and getting a better job when they have to think about it because they're drawing it. Maybe their initial answer is a sort of overconfidence or a pathetic answer.
It's possible. I mean, anything is sort of possible. And the thing is, like, this is a weird, consistent finding. Here's some more evidence of how consistent it is. This is from Yuan and colleagues, 2019, a much more recent analysis. And these guys found that incorporating dozens of additional studies from around the world, they reached the same conclusion in their meta-analysis. These are global studies at this point. Everywhere on Earth, this happens. Women are about twice as likely to fail the water level test as men are. So it doesn't matter. It's not cultural. It's something like that. So the question then is it a misunderstanding of the question? Is it a misunderstanding of just like, what are they even asking me to do, right? Perhaps women interpret the task differently, drawing the line parallel to the base of the container or assuming the liquid is in motion rather than at rest. In other words, maybe they are answering a different question. To test this idea, Leah and colleagues, which here, this citation, design an experiment to measure how men and women processed spatial tasks at the neurological level. University students were given 3 mental rotation tasks, a paper folding task, and a mental rotation task, a paper folding task, and the water level task. For each, there's some details here on the methodology, which I'll skip here. For mental rotation, men responded faster to images shown in the left visual field, and we should be able to scroll down here and see the brain stuff. No, this one does not have the brain scans, but here it is right here. Left and right hemisphere processing. Now, if men and women are processing this differently hemispherically, which as you can see here, they are, this is the underlying mechanism, right? This is why it's happening. It's how the brain itself works. Women their brains are activated differently when they're trying to figure this out. For the paper folding task, men were faster when images appeared in the right visual field, suggesting greater left hemisphere or more verbal processing. Women showed no difference on the paper folding task. Let's see, the mental rotation task, men responded faster to images in the left visual field, indicating stronger right hemisphere involvement, typically associated with spatial processing. Women, by contrast, showed no difference in the hemispheres. This is this top graph here. But the water level task looked different. It's just this water level thing, man. Both men and women responded faster to stimuli processed in the right hemisphere, and the pattern of lateralization was nearly identical between the sexes. The only consistent difference was that women took longer overall to respond. In other words, men and women were processing the same task in a different way, or at least in the same way, in the same part of the brain, but at different speeds. If women were simply misunderstanding this question, this would not occur. This graph right here would not occur. You can see it's an identical pattern. It's just different speeds of process, reaction time here, right? That's if this was misunderstanding, this would not happen. This is how we know it's not just I thought it was a sticker, right? At least it would be insane. It would be an insane coincidence for that to be the case, right? At the same time, the difference is not immutable. As mentioned earlier, performance on it can improve. I brought this up before here, actually, not that one, this one. So what they did here, this is the Vasa study, is it not? Yes, okay. What they did here is they showed women a whole bunch of different objects in different shapes. It wasn't just a glass being rotated on their side and how the water level would sit, right? And then said, now you draw it. When they did this over and over again, in the control group, men answered correctly 68% of the time compared to 38% for women. Again, you're seeing a near double amount of men. It's so consistent. About twice as many men can answer this correctly as can women. But in the experimental group, where participants had been exposed to repeated examples, women's performance improved dramatically, reaching 69% nice accuracy and slightly outperforming men. So it does seem that that you can kind of train women out of this. Apparently I don't have this up, but there was a master's thesis in 2004.
My God, they found a way to force women to think. We need to commercialize this immediately.
I know, right? A master's thesis from Heather Hill in 2004 followed children and their parents over several years. Like, not literally, I didn't stalk them, but they were administering these spatial cognition tests annually from the 7th grade, which again is 14, 13, through the end of high school, providing rare longitudinal data on how these skills develop over time. With males, both males and females improved with repeated testing. The gap between them persisted. Let me see if I can find this Hill 2004 citation, because for some reason it's not linked in my document. Let me go look for this real quick. Should be easy. Hill 2004 water level ask. And this was a thesis. Maybe, if I can't find this, it's not going to be good. I might have to ask AI for this, actually. I won't do it right now. Mental location, spatial cognition. I get it. Need it to be Hill, though. I did find this, actually. This one I just found all, completely randomly. I came across this. It was a master's thesis. I'll have to go try to find it. Oh, shit. I've read it. I mean, now I got this from somewhere. This often happens. I don't know how the link got broken. Anyway, let me go back to my document here. Okay. You just trust me on it. You'll see when the video comes out, I'll have it on screen. By the 5th year, so they kept testing these high schoolers over and over and over, every single year being like, listen, water sits parallel to the ground when you tilt the glass. It doesn't matter. Over and over again, annually, through the end of high school. And while both males and females improved with repeated testing, the gap between them persisted. By the 5th year, female responses were on average more than twice as far from horizontal as male averages. By the 3rd year of testing, fewer than 8% of males were still making errors greater than 20 degrees from horizontal, a number that dropped to just 6% by 5 years of repeated testing of this. Among females, however, 24%, almost that exact same percentage, a quarter, were making errors of the same magnitude after 5 years of repeated testing and education.
That makes it sound like it's hubris.
Is that, I mean, I don't quite understand your hubris hypothesis here, that women just, how would it be hubristic to think like, to pick bottle E here, Because
which answer requires the least thought? For even assuming that the kind of automatic simulation that you would do if you were asked this question, even assuming that that's labor, which one requires the least? E.
D. I could understand A. I could maybe understand. I could maybe even understand some like B or C. D, I cannot comprehend.
You mean E. D is correct.
E. Yes,
E
D is the correct one.
is
E,
the one that
where
requires
it's totally fucked.
the minimum thinking. And so,
I guess.
but when women are
spatial cognition,
forced to think by
perspective.
drawing it, they get way better answers, which means they weren't thinking when they were just asked. They confidently assumed that they knew, like an AI. But then when they were made to do something that required them to think about it, they got way better results. That's the only thing that matches, as far as I'm concerned. They have the spatial reasoning, they just aren't using it. Men are automatically using it at every time they should. Women are only using it when they really have to.
I mean, that's
Does this
plausible,
match up with your experience when you first, because you said that you initially intuitively thought the wrong one. Had you even simulated it in your head? Because if I'm thinking about this, I will immediately, involuntarily simulate it. Maybe women just don't have that instinct, that autonomic response, where they don't immediately simulate it. They just assume.
I'm trying to think back to when I first started asking this question, because now I absolutely can't unsee it. But I remember thinking like, oh yeah, because when you turn a glass, and I was thinking that same thing. I was like, well, when you turn it, it does make the water slosh in that direction, right? So I did have that thought, but then as soon as it was like explained, it's like, no, it's a still glass. It's not in motion. I was like, oh, well, yeah, and I have some kind of innate, and maybe this is just a woman thing, desire. I would want to say that it's A. If I didn't know, I don't know, basic physics and know how absurd of a question this inherently is, I think maybe my woman brain might want to say it's A out of these, right? I mean, I don't even know why, but maybe it's just, genetics, biology makes me feel that it's like that. There's one other study that I did want to bring up, which the other part of this, because we should get out of here in a minute, so we can go head over to Cabal and stuff. But one thing that's really fascinating. She just wants
to quake some equines, chat. She doesn't love you, really.
I actually want to quake the equines. I really want to bounce the horses. Is that I think the other thing that people will be very interested in and will enjoy watching about this topic that sounds really boring. I think if you just were like to describe it on paper, it sounds boring. I think it's actually fascinating. Is about women's ability to navigate and figure out like how to get somewhere on a map. This was probably of them the best studies that I found on it. I mean, there's really good research in it, but this one is insane because you would think of any women who would be able to figure out how to navigate, it might be, I don't know, West Point cadets. Guess what? No, not even a little bit. Not even a little fucking bit. Specifically. So they gave all these people GPS, or they tracked them with GPS, excuse me. They put them out in a woodland training area, and they had a whole day beforehand they'd been there before for the most part, but maybe not all of them had. So they made sure they had a full day before the test to make sure they familiarized themselves with the area. They specifically told them they were going to be tested on their ability to like geolocate and find their way. And then with GPS, they tracked all of the people, all of the cadets on how long they maintained a consistent direction, because this is something you find very common with women in pathfinding, is that men will just like pick, first of all, men think in cardinal directions. They think north, south, east, west. Women think next to the tree. I'm not saying this to be disparaging. This is just consistently the way that men and women think. And that's why, women get lost all the time and stuff. Women think in landmarks, men think in directionality. And the other thing that will happen too, as I'll get to here in a second, is that when men start going in a direction, they just keep going in it. Women will like backtrack and go in circles and all kinds of stuff. Because they'll go back to the landmarks, because that's how we remember stuff. But they also measured how often they paused and how long they paused, how frequently they revisited areas that they'd already searched, and so on. On average, the male cadets were more successful at locating flags. They had a bunch of flags placed around the train area. But the difference was fully explained by navigation behavior. Female cadets changed direction more often, paused longer, and were more likely to revisit the same areas. The patterns were consistent with what's called a route-based strategy, relying on landmarks rather than maintaining a stable sense of orientation. Importantly, success in the task was unrelated to self-reported sense of direction. So women were like, I've got a great sense of direction. I can find my way through anything. And not really ladies. This is one of the more robust studies. I like this one a lot because it might be like, oh, these aren't women who they're you know, why would they have to know spatial navigation? Well, these are people who've specifically been trained in this, you know, who should be able to. Like, these people are expected to be in the military, right? So, I don't know. It's just this is consistent across all kinds of stuff. They're not in every single area. And I did try to find, is there any place where women outperform men? And by the way, this is what it is too. It has to do with gray matter, actually specifically, because in some of the, and estrogen as well. Estrogen actually seems to be the real cause of it, which is again demonstrating that's a biological issue. And yes, there might be the overconfidence, and that's maybe tied to estrogen. But same-sex opposite twins, yes, both men and women with a co-twin, male co-twin. Oh, this is how you know it's estrogen, right? So inherently in utero, if a woman is pregnant with a male, right, the male will start to produce testosterone. And about how many weeks actually is it? It's fairly early on. So it means that if you have a male child in utero with a female twin, that female twin will be overly exposed to testosterone and underexposed to estrogen. As a result, look at that opposite sex twins mental rotation test score. Like, you know, this is bad. The higher it is, it's worse, right? There it is. It's estrogen in many ways. Because you don't observe it if you have a same-sex twins, right? In males, so the females are on the left, males on the right. Oh no, it is the opposite. Lower is worse, not higher is worse, right? So females with a same-sex twin, double the estrogen, absolutely cannot do mental rotation. Females with an opposite sex twin, you've got more testosterone.
Go,
little bit
tomboys.
Little bit better at the mental rotation tasks, and then males just blow them out of the water. But males with a female co-twin perform worse than males who have double the testosterone in utero.
So what you're saying is tomboys are superior to women and femboys are inferior to males. This I knew.
Are tomboys only women with male co-twins?
No, but I'm sure it helps.
I mean, it will increase your in utero what's it called? Your exposure to testosterone, yeah. Also, it's been tested with not menarche though. Approaching puberty earlier, so women who this happens at birth, and that's why you find it in children. And there's tons of research on that, on the spatial rotation tasks in infants who are like a month old, 3 months old. The earliest of infants, you find sex differences in spatial cognition. And that is because it is an in utero estrogen effect. And that's why also, like, the age at which girls reach menarche doesn't affect this. So if a girl enters puberty earlier and starts to get her period and is going to produce way more estrogen, it doesn't affect it. The damage is already done. This spatial cognition stuff it happens in the womb, and it's because of your DNA in large part. And because of hormones. So there's not really there are possible, you could say the overconfidence of women, is that related to higher estrogen? Maybe. But it is ultimately a biological effect. Or so it really seems to be, right? Or this graph is so telling in and of itself look at what testosterone versus estrogen does to your ability to complete these kinds of tests. Now, these are general mental rotation tests. These are not, which a mental rotation test is this rotation task. It's just being able to rotate a shape. If you ever, this kind of thing.
Most of the questions in an IQ test are this.
Yes, a lot of them are.
Well,
so again, these show you the correct answers, but you have a shape, a three-dimensional shape, usually made out of cubes like this. And they ask you, okay, what is the same shape out of this selection? That's a mental rotation task. And women can't do this one either. They really, I mean, Jesus Christ, they really fucking suck at it. We do. I've always struggled with these too. I've always found these to be difficult. I don't know why. Well, now I do, but that's, just how it is. There's a lot of stuff with the navigation stuff, the mental rotation tasks, but this does just appear to be consistent biological sex differences that even when you try to train every single year to teach women that the bottle sits like this one, second to the right, they will default to thinking it does something else. That's
Moral of the story. When women should ask nicely for D, they instead fail to.
They choose the E instead, the estrogen. That is, now I've got a ton more on this, guys. This was sort of a preview, and I wanted to mostly just, launch this sort of. Actually, that's something you and I have to talk about, Uzalu, is what day a week we're going to do this. Sunday might be best because it's midway through the week in between Broken Crown. So this might actually be the best day for me. Saturday or Sunday probably will be. Okay, Saturday or Sunday, I'll figure out. Saturday might be better because Bill doesn't work on Sunday, and then that way he won't get mad at me if we do end up keeping him up late sometime. Anywho, we'll finalize that though.
Sure.
In the upcoming days, and actually, hopefully after the stream, which is done. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, please, not just for the algorithm, but because we've just started this. Let me know just any and all feedback. Also, it's 11:20. Do I buy you a pizza?
I'm just gonna start quietly. It's fine.
He's like how hungry. Oh my god. Okay, all right. Let me go. Pizza Hut.
Don't buy me a pizza. Just think what nachos will say if you do.
Oh no, is it Pizza Hut?
No, it's Domino's. But don't get me a pizza. I have loads of food here. What we'll do is here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. I do, but here's the thing. Okay. When we're in the stream, I will make myself some food.
Okay.
And then we'll do horse bouncing after that. Because I don't want to make myself food and do horse bouncing at the same time. While I'm making myself food, we'll watch something in Cabal. Or
Hunt Spawns.
Some other source of food will make itself apparent and we can do horse bouncing immediately.
Okay. Yeah, don't feed him, not after midnight, but it's only 11:20. That's why I thought, by the time he got there though,
And while you decide which of those options you like better, here's a little ditty from a well-respected member of the community.
What is this? What is he going to... No, you're going to play some AI slob. It is AI slob. It's butt rock, too.
It's not any butt rock.
Oh my god.
I thought buzz was only true in a worker bees. Meant for someone else, but not for me.
Oh my god.
Honey came to get me, that's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams.
I'm about to end this stream, bro.
Saw her face, now I'm a believer.
Okay. Oh, it's just Smash Mouth.
I'm a buzz achiever.
You might just start calling me a bird next.
Wings were just a thing for birds up in the sky.
Right on cue.
Never thought that I would learn to fly. But then she danced directions with a wiggle and a spin. Told me where the flowers had been.
Isabel Rosalind's green porno. She's a bee.
All right, chat. I think we can play out with this song. Thank you, Wolf, for providing the song and for the excellent memes during the stream. Now I'm a believer.
Indeed.
Thank you,
We'll see
Aiden.
you all probably the same time next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right.
If you want to join
Okay.
us for where we're going next, where we will be
Yes.
doing some fun stuff with my community and with anyone else from here,
Go pin
there's
that.
the link. We're going to go do that now.
Pin that.
In the
Whoops, I almost
meantime,
put you in timeout.
I mean, you
I should have put you
can
in
do.
time. I should have put you in timeout.
What, for the
I
music?
think no, I actually almost clicked it, but I think it
Ah.
might remove your link. So anyway, yep. Thank you guys. We will. I will also be over in Cabal for a little bit. I probably won't be up too late, but yep. See you over there in a little bit. Thank you for hanging out so much, and see you soon. Cheers and bye bye.